make their debuts in NA Challengers 2023.
Let's do it, brother. Let's get it on. Corey also got to keep that in mind that he was a force during the Lugwood Tarek Invitational on this map on Jet. Dominated for his squad, but it's going to be Mad Lions with the initial play, largely coming through middle. Toxic Sphere will just kind of block out line of sight where everyone else is trying to creep up in towards an early play potentially. There is some sort of alarm system that's going to be in play here for the defense, so you have to be very cautious as Mad Lions is still kind of finding out whatever intel they can around the map.
Yeah, they're pressuring on a lot of different fronts right now. They're pressuring Tube. They still have presence outside Long B. They're now droning their way into A site, but now that barrier, of course, blocking Zexro from getting any more forward. And you're starting to see that Spike actually swing back out as if they want to go for the Beast, but they already have that Toxic Screen in place to get them onto B side along with the Spike, and no one's there. TSM playing retake on that B side.
This is all about what does Guamon get as far as information is concerned, rotating back over kind of caddy corner with his alarm bot. Toxic Screen back up. That'll allow the offense a chance to move in, but Will is just poking and throwing shots, saying, hey, look at us, look at us, look at us. And Zexro is now all of a sudden back over towards A. The Spike is not here, though. It is Zexro by himself with a little bit of assistance from Drone, but the defensive screen actually takes the play away. And now with 30 seconds left, Mad Lions have to commit to this.
Yeah, they've been trying to go back and forth, tried to do the double fake, putting the turret down over on B side, but TSM didn't buy it. Corey stood there with the Sheriff, gets the first kill. Now it's a 5-on-4. Like you said, time is ticking, and Mad Lions do have to commit, but there is someone in the back lines here, but it's being read by Gamon.
They may have gotten enough separation here, created enough doubt. The defense is rotating over to try to get isolation onto Andrews, able to pick up a 1 elimination. That's fine. If he gets any more, it'd be incredible, but only confirms damage. Spike planted in the meantime, and we get into a 3v4 retake situation, and it's TSM. What tools do you have to really break into this? You're kind of looking into Nature's point of view, but the flash out from Drone allows a chance to kind of stall the defensive retake, at least for a time. Kills coming through cleanly, leaves Will by himself. Can he use the clock to his advantage? It'd be a 1v3 situation. First one down low, converts it, stays alive with 15 health. Paint Shells has been recharged. Shock Darter on the back, though, able to get the damage, but it's Will lingering with the little softball toss that's able to get the eBay clutch in the first round for Mad Lions.
What a chaotic pistol, dude. I mean, like you said, there was this moment where Ainge was drawing people back over towards B. It created a little bit of a window for Mad Lions, but it really came down to individual plays, and it mostly came down to Will. Look at how he finds a way to get a 1v1 there instead of just getting instantly traded. Gets that second Paint Shells up, able to put it on top the Spike to ensure he would win either off the timer or off that nade damage. And so that is going to be Mad Lions drawing first blood here, but we're going to see that force up. We've been seeing this a lot as the Stingers have been a big part of the meta.
It's just one of those things, though, that we don't often see force-ups when you've lost from the defensive side still. So already TSM kind of throwing a little bit of a wrench out. Opening knife will clear out some of yellow, but largely speaking, this is going to be a... Mad Lions have to get a read that TSM have for a big question now.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, the Stinger force-up's more of an attacking strategy. You don't see it too much on defense, and we do see Trick trying to send that drone forward, but he's not going to get any sort of read, as this definitely is a pretty heavy B focus on Mad Lions. But one thing you'll notice about them is they're never all in at the beginning. They do a pretty good job about keeping presence all across the map, keeping their options open. They have a turret watching for any type of A press. They have their presence over at middle as well. We're just kind of waiting to see if TSM's going to try to throw something crazy at them as they're expecting an eco.
Yeah, that long-range ADS, though, will give some information that there is a Bulldog out in play. So does this change the mentality for Mad Lions, who can continue to just kind of feel out the map, so to speak? TSM are kind of doing the same thing. They're playing very far back, not something that I think many would have expected, but a lot of respect given on both sides with these upgraded weapons for both teams in the second round.
Yeah, TSM is not afraid to play a retake is kind of what you're seeing here, and you kind of have to be willing to do that on this map, as we are going to see the utility pouring in for Mad Lions to get the Spike on the A site. Some good counter utility is doing a little bit of chip damage, but that Spike is going to go down. Ainge able to get a frag in the mix as well, going to make it tougher on TSM now to retake.
Zexro's in a great position up top as well, just to kind of change up the angle, give Mad Lions a little bit of variety in how they're set up for this hold. Hit coming forward, TSM trying their way through, and they nearly get Nature into a good position, but down low, it has to be won the hard way. And, well, it's just not being won. So a gamble cost here for TSM by himself. Okay, that works. Just right off the top rope, literally, but in the corner, will finish it off without much conflict. The Mad Lions take a steep advantage, even though it is just 2-0 early.
Yeah, able to just get inside that A site very quickly. While they took a little bit of chip damage here and there along the way, they were able to win the key duels that they needed to make sure they secured the round. Trick being a major part of that.
Oh, yeah.
Of course, Will getting the finishing touches there. Puts him up 2-0, and TSM in a tough spot here. We see a couple of sheriffs and that's about it. I mean, that's just kind of the repercussions of forcing last round and it not working out. Now you're kind of in this weird place where Mad Lions should be able to get the 3-0 start.
And already an early Hunter's Fury earned up from Trick through 2 rounds. Impressive to say the least. He's been able to get that off largely off of getting the spike planted.
Look at this massive flank, dude.
Yeah.
Oh, it's red, though.
It sure is. Turret says, not on my watch. So the play is to get Corey the knives.
They don't know the numbers, though. That's the thing.
Yeah. But Zexro's going to have a pretty solid look at this unless TSM to try to retrack back over through mid. Nice shots from Zexro up top. Trick also flank stays safe. So they've eliminated the threat here, Dust, and now it's just down to what can you find from the front with 2 sheriffs and a stinger.
Probably not a whole heck of a lot. Toxic Screen goes back up, but Will has an up-close view over the top. Is traded by 7. Not going to be able to do much more, you would imagine. Does have Stinger, but Drone's doing a good job about making sure they can't push past him. Barrier orb goes down, but it's easily broken.
Yep. Casual as you like, I'd say, Fred, right? I mean, it's a cool stack for TSM. Try to get Corey the knives, but yeah, I think like you mentioned, the numbers may not have been red, but the kills that come with that flank were crucially important towards Mad Lion. Just really just on a coast into round number 3 for him.
To be fair, they did bring extra numbers to watch that flank, and it's probably because, hey, if that turret spotted 1 and this is an eco round, probably more than 1.
Yeah.
So I looked at they kind of just used the wisdom there to get players to watch that. Got those frags. Will gets one over the top as well. Pretty much allows them to coast through for victory. But now we have our first full buy round. We'll see if TSM can strike back here.
Oh, quick as you'd like, but 7 up top. Well done, gets away. Doesn't even take really a lick of damage in the process. Good help from Corey over the top to make sure that Mad Lions are simple and halted, but they don't see Drone on the quick pinch. I mean, you're gonna throw a barrier orb up and then not look the other direction. Bit of a misstep TSM, and the spike will come down, even though Drone will take a chunk of health from the shock dart.
Yeah, shock darts come a little too late to actually deter the plant, but like you said, at least it gets some damage in there, but there's still a man down on this retake. Nature, though, quickly changes that, taking down Zexro, and we're back to equal.
Well, you've got a chance, though, to just kind of hold off and use this Hunter's Fury if your Trick has not pulled the trigger yet. Angel's actually in a great position to make sure no one was on for the actual defuse yet. Drone will be the next one to check. He's not in a position to watch, and there's the Hunter's Fury. It will go all the way to halfway, though, so this is still possible for TSM. Trying to work their way around it. The last dart will hit, but Hayes stops out for the defuse. Ain't able to stop it for now, and Nature, too low of HP, and obviously feeling the pain of the economy, is going to say, I need to save this, and back away, looking at a 0-4 scoreboard.
I mean, that's just the thing with this composition, is there's so much utility available to Mad Lions to disrupt the defuse. Whether it be the nanos of Zexro, whether it be the snake bites coming out of Ainge, or in that situation, you also have Trick with Hunter's Fury, which just adds to the lot. And that means you just have so many kind of things you have to work through. If you're TSM, you know, you get past one, another one's coming, and they could just never really get comfortable on the site to get something going there. So Mad Lions continue to roar. 4-0, TSM back onto a low buy. No alts available either, except for Mad Lions. They have one on Will and Drone.
And is this maybe a moment where you look at Mad Lions after finding just routine success towards A, that you're going into kind of a half-buy situation to TSM? Do you maybe try to put stress onto Guamon, who has not really been a part of the play yet, and try to force something towards B, or do you just go mentality if it ain't broke, don't fix it?
That's a really tough call. You know, I think for Mad Lions, they're doing a very good job about just spreading the map and making it hard for TSM to get information or get reads. And TSM, at times, though, are deciding, hey, we want to play retake, but this hasn't worked out for them yet. I think maybe a little bit more aggression on defense might be something we see when they get a buyback, but this is a pretty good start to this eco round. They get a frag, they're up 5-4, and they get to pick up a weapon.
Yeah, it's also the null command that was ready for Drone off the table, so a threat taken care of. Really all you have to worry about now is, does Will try to open the door with a showstopper? Would be a bold call. You don't want to sacrifice your life for a one-for-one trade. So here comes a little bit of establishment over towards B, but the spike's not a part of either of these plays, and you kind of need to keep your eye just very casually on a Zexro who's lurking map. There's a sentry turret to keep him honest, but Will may delete this, and including the defender as well. So now the spike can run on, and this should be a guaranteed plant.
It should be. They also have full kitchen control because they had a player go up too, as well as Will going up over top. And so they had so much high ground here on B side. Will delaying the retake positions with his utility right now, as well as that snake bite under tube. And they now have a supreme position here in a 4-on-3.
As Xtro's going to be the first point of contact. Sees Corey dash across. Still has a nanoswarm, so might as well throw that into the mix. Seven's done well, though, I will say. Second kill for him in the round. And a chance for TSM to start making towards where the spike is planted. The question is, where are the rest of these post-plant defenders? Xtro pop, not going to be denied by nature. Now Trick from the long angles. Yeah, very easy, very clean, very casual. And you can see exactly why Mad Lions kind of rode this icebox pick through qualifiers and why they love to see it here for map 1 in their first group match.
Man, I can't tell you how deadly this combo was from Mad Lions to not only get the press up to, but to get Will into kitchen, because the two-player knows that he can just walk up for free. And now you hold all that high ground, you're able to put the plant in a very open position that can be guarded from a multitude of angles, and then you just get to stall out the defense, you know, keeping that utility on the under 2 position, keeping utility inside kitchen. There's just no way in for TSM. And we are going to see Mad Lions jump up to a pretty big lead because of it. TSM taking the timeout. And man, I mean, the only things I can really think of for TSM is maybe just try to force the issue on one of the extremities early. I mean, Mad Lions are getting a lot of early map control, whether that be Corey with an alt or an op, setting up an aggressive pick. You know, whatever the case may be, you got to do something to unsettle Mad Lions, because it feels like they are just getting to play the game at their pace every step of the way.
It definitely feels too passive, and I think you kind of see this on two sides of it. You're running a double Sentinel build here with a Sage Killjoy, so, you know, I think just inherently you say, I don't want to get too far forward if you're Seven or Gumon, because you don't really have an exit strategy. But at the same rate, you've got all this great utility to slow down what Mad Lions wants to do, so why not try to commit some of that maybe a little bit further up, and then have, you know, the other Sentinel rotate behind if you feel like you need to, just to kind of lock down the site. And we may be getting a first instance of this. This is a very far forward alarm bot, and they're already set up to make sure that no knives or darts can come through to kind of scout out this play in front of Yellow.
Yeah, they're relying on the Viper's Pit to lock A down for a bit while they try to set up an op pick for Corey over towards long B, but Mad Lions are carefully traversing over the top of the pit with the drone. They're not committing anything to either direction. But at least TSM are kind of dictating the pace of this round with this Viper's Pit, and with Corey having so much space guarded by himself, and it gives them freedom to move around Nature and Gamon in the middle of the map.
And you've got options here if you're Mad Lions to talk about in this time where you've got the null command, you've got the lockdown. So if you want to counter out this Viper's Pit, technically speaking, you could with some great efficiency, or you can just avoid it and double stack all this utility over towards B and make re-entry extremely difficult in nature. Very fortunate to be alive. Trick watching the exact same angle through mid-box, now wants to clear things out through the cut, but Gamon shuts down the op play, and now first time we can say it, TSM with an advantage.
Xtro knows that he has Gamon trapped in a very difficult corner, able to get the immediate trade, but Nature picks up on that two press. Now the op comes in from Corey, and now TSM could start cracking down across the entire map. It's only
that's
drone
just good
now.
Awareness. I mean, right? I mean, you get the read that, hey, yeah, they're playing up through mid. It's an op plus a little bit of help. Nature gets the free rotation, and then as soon as you have that intel, look at they push all the way through. So good adjustments for TSM, kind of winning that line of scrimmage on the 50-yard line, I think.
Yeah, but now they have to do so again without the Viper's Pit at their disposal. Granted, they do have several other ults that could come into play and help them out. And now they have Corey on the operator with no one having a sniper on the opposing side, so those long-range battles. And Corey, if he's dynamic about it, he can make it a little bit harder, whether he wants to be aggressive at A, be aggressive at B. He can kind of keep Mad Lions guessing, and that might make their map control a little bit tougher to get. And that could be how this game starts to change up a bit, and we start seeing some closer rounds.
Yeah, similar stack for TSM as this was not tested at green last time around. Sentry turret is down, but I think Corey actually missed the first shot. But regardless, it still will fade away. Xtro just trying to keep the defenders at least somewhat responsible. Alarm bot to take the sentry turret place, but Hayes is still bypasses right up. This is a huge 1v1, and Xtro expects it. Now numbers for Mad Lions as they're also finding some groundwork here at A.
I love that from Xtro. He knows that there was a way around his alarm bot. And so he watches the one angle he needs to be worried about. And that's the one that Hayes pressed, and he's rewarded. So just good awareness from Xtro there. Gets them an early 5 versus 4 situation. They already have some presence on A side as well. They're forcing Gimon to fall back off long B, which denies intel there as they're now about to swarm an empty A site.
Yeah. Null command comes through. Owl drone paint shells to clear, but look at the defense making their way to clear out mid and maybe even hit a flank. They're going to deny it. Oh, and Corey just catches drone's big right thumb. Resurrection, can it come back through to bring him into the mix? No, the Hunter's Fury is going to come out trying to stop this hit. Ainge has picked up the spike, and in the same breath, the same can be said for Drone. Back into the mix. Still a 5v4 for Mad Lions. Viper's pit to reinforce, and the tools defensively to try to get back into this is only reserved to the lockdown, which gets spent. Drone still waiting up top. Does he elect to nullify himself? No, doesn't need to. Lockdown gets destroyed, and now all of a sudden there's a pinch coming out from Trick to the middle of the map. If you're TSM, you've got to go. You've got to go quickly, but the kills just simply are not there. Mad Lions can dominate.
Yeah, that's just masterclass from Mad Lions. It looked a little bit dicey at first when Corey takes down Drone up top, who was looking for that up top plant, but he was able to get revived. This was smart from Corey, I have to admit. That's just good awareness of where that spike could be at, but the reactions from Mad Lions afterwards to get the quick revive, to get the Viper spit down, to cancel out the lockdown of Gimon. Now they're up 6-1. They just have so much control of this attacking half. Credits running low again for TSM. They had to put a stinger on 7th. They lose this round, they're saving.
Not what you want, already coming off of the timeout as well, by the way. This could get out of hand very quickly if TSM's not careful. And still, it is a bit bizarre to see them now much utility towards trying to set up anything forward. This has been a purely reactionary defense so far from TSM.
Yeah, it's a very retake-heavy focus on the A side, but it hasn't been well orchestrated. They haven't been able to make their retake setups work. That's Will taking a lot of space right now with that boom bot, getting up on top of site. Toxic Strength recover as the spike goes down, and once again, TSM will be asked to retake a site with lower firepower.
Got Zekro with Nanoswarms on, although Shock Dart will deny the opportunity for utility to contest any sort of a defuse. So we'll need to play a little bit far forward here with Trick, who is just a kill away from Hunter's Fury as well, mind you. That could come into play. Trick tagged up with the recon dart. TSM with full flooding numbers start to make their way in. It's just gunfire and utility all over the place. Hayes wants to see what it looks like past the green wall. Not going to work out too much. Pinstripe goes to kill feed. 7 still trying to get a defuse down, but the barrier orb will not stand tall in the face of team shots. And Corey on 8 HP will meet the same fate as the rest of his squad mates. 7-1, Mad Lions.
Yeah, it's one of those tough situations when you're TSM, because not only do you have to retake the site, you have to retake the backside as well, because that's where all the post-plant utility is for Mad Lions, with the snake bites, with Trick, you know, with Drone even being able to put something down on that spike. They tried to put up a different barrier wall to hope that they would have to really force Mad Lions to burn through bullets to stop a defuse, but as they press deeper and deeper into Mad Lions' hold, they just could not get the exchanges they needed to get them safely diffusing. And so now Mad Lions up 7-1, and there's nothing left for TSM here.
Yeah, and even that last buy was not a comfortable one. Light armor for most of the players who elected into assault rifles, and now you have to default to pistols and a stinger. All evidence would point towards a very likely 8-1, but if you're a TSM fan, you have to start hoping and praying for a thrifty just to get back into this map.
Oh, great flash and push through from Drone. Wow. Doubles up. Will takes one as well. And around where we expected Mad Lions to not have too much trouble, thanks to that firepower advantage, turns out to be a reality. It's just Corey and 7 left here.
7 up top. Denied. Even a further peek on towards Will. And the same could be said for Corey. An investor flawless for Mad Lions, and holy smokes, TSM needs something here in these last couple of rounds. Otherwise, this map just may be over.
It's starting to get to a boiling point here for sure. I mean, TSM does have the operator back in Corey's hands, and you feel like that's going to have to be the catalyst to get them back into this half. Corey needs to be able to find some type of early pick. He's been playing a lot of B. This time he's setting up for a more forward angle on A, which has been Mad Lions' kind of favorite place to attack, but
yeah,
I love the adjustment from Mad Lions to immediately pivot back over to B.
And if you think their attack looks good, just for what it's worth, Mad Lions actually hold a better defensive round win percentage. So,
oh my.
Yikes. Gramon stuck. Paint shells come through, and all the information's there as well. Hayes cannot find a single trade out. Now 7's going to get caught, at least informationally, but okay. a chance to at least try to work back in towards this side. There's still a lot that they have to work through here, but there is a little bit of utility still left. Maybe if Seven can get far forward, he can get Hayes back up, and that's exactly the call, but Zexro on the pitch, shutting down any further possible play from TSM, even getting a little bit more damage into Corey. Sure, the numbers still read a 3v3, but the obstacles that TSM have to work through are numerous, and these hurdles are high. And it does not look all that great, although Ainge just kind of gives away his life, if I'm being honest to Hayes. It just may not make much of a difference. No, not enough time. Too much utility, as you continue to mention, and Mad Lion's going to get the 9.
That was intentional. He wanted to be able to stay there so he could snake bite the spike. He was willing to sacrifice his life in order to get his utility down to stop a defuse there at the end of the round. So that was calculated as Mad Lions go up 9-1. And man, they just look so prepared, dude. For real. Look at the routes that you're seeing on this B attack. When that top screen goes down, Will just knows he has that coverage to get on the rope to that top container. And so not only does he get the opener, he's able to get up here. No one can really see him do it, and he gets a second one because of it. And then they're always set up, it feels like, to be able to come in these side flanks. You know, in that situation with Zexro coming through under tube, to just always keep TSM guessing. Like, they're never able to get comfortable and set up their retake.
It's just so bizarre, I think. And we know we've kind of, you know, beat a dead horse here with TSM kind of preparing to playing for retakes. I mean, you've got a Sage and a Killjoy. What utility are you going to use to break down these post plants for Mad Lions? Ooh. Here's a good opening shutdown. Showstopper denied anything, as Hayes will collect first blood, and TSM will have not just numbers in the server here, but they've got numbers to deal with this at B.
Yeah, they're ready to go. Trick, though, takes one out. There's a flash, but he runs out of ammo trying to hunt him down with the Classic. It doesn't happen, and this could be TSM's chance.
Should be good for it, you'd think. But there is a null command ready for Drone if he feels like he can maybe shut down any possible utility on the way in. Actually just peeks through the Al drone to confirm another elimination. That is a key one. Barrier orb goes up. Spike revealed, though, as part destroyed. And now Drone can actually take an extra step forward. Right through the Poison Cloud, not able to find the eliminations. Just down to Zexro, caught on reload. And TSM will get another one before the half starts.
Indeed they will. That just comes down to Hayes clotheslining Will as he was in midair with the showstopper, unable to be that tip of the spear to crack open the B site this time around. Got to give mad props to Hayes for shutting that one, and also just continuing to frag out well throughout the course of the round to get them their second, but only one round left to go this half, and you feel like they need it, because if they lose this, a pistol round victory for Mad Lions next half pretty much seals the deal.
Correct. So what do you do here if you're TSM? One away from a lockdown, Viper's Pit is ready to go, null command on the other side, and Ainge is still one orb away or a kill from having a Viper's Pit of his own. So as far as ultimate utility is concerned, relatively even. And this time TSM have changed up the look. They are double stacking their Sentinels for the first time at A. And if Mad Lions commit into this, they would have guessed correctly. Null command's the first thing forward, that'll force TSM off the site. And you would assume that pretty much further on top of that, you would deal with both of these nanostorms, but okay, there you go. First one's denied. Drone will take a little bit of chip damage, but largely the Killjoy utility is bypassed.
Starting to see TSM trying to get in here with the shock darts to try to get some chip damage in. Again, though, it just doesn't happen to stop the plant. And once again, we have this 5-on-5 retake situation that TSM has struggled with.
And how do you get through the Viper? Well, that's one way of at least finding an opening elimination. Corey, can you do more than that, though? He may be required to. Will is still lingering on top of this. Extra over the top has got an operator just kind of picking up anyone who could possibly threaten Will, who's now able to pick up Hayes off a little mini pinch, and Will has taken over. Mercy. Barrier orb down. Killjoy utilities in, and Will, he's on a zipline tour of Icebox.
Will is a madman, dude. I mean, I remember last year when people were calling for this guy's head on 100 Ds because he was having his struggles initially on the team, but he really turned it around during stage 2, and then internationally at Champions last year, Will was an absolute monster against teams like DRX and Fnatic. And now you're seeing Mad Lions getting to reap the benefits of having Will on their side in this round, going for the quad, saving the day when it looked like maybe, just maybe TSM are going to get one more before we transition sides, but instead it's just going to be a massive half from Mad Lions, up 10-2.
Was there a single rope that Will didn't get a kill on?
I mean, he was having a good time on him. We'll say that.
Oh man. Unreal stuff. So 10-2, and what felt like a must-win round in the 12th turns into an absolute must-win round here on the pistol on 13 for TSM. Offensively, tri-stack through mid, Killjoy utilities here, plus also Zextro's watching this.
Yep.
And as soon as this turret peeks up, Zextro's going to do the same, I imagine. Just throw a right-click out. And there it is. Oh, he even gets a kill on the 7? Oh, my.
That's brutal. The barrier goes up a little too late, and now look at this. Ainge on top of the site, ready for the push, able to get one down onto Gamon and stay alive and shut this attack down on all fronts.
Hayes will keep the play relatively up, and the chance maybe finish off Ainge, but misses the opportunity. And as the window closes, so also may the hopes of this map for TSM. Thrown on the little fly. 11-2, and TSM have to start forcing up. And they didn't even get spike planted, so they're not going to be able to afford much.
I mean, they're going to force up, but it's going to be very limited. Though I will say on attacking side with Stingers, you can definitely make some things happen if you can get space early. But what a crazy kill early from Zextro just before the barrier orb goes up. And then again, Mad Lions have so much control of the map. They're able to just kind of box in TSM on that B side and just run them through the grinder. Now it's 11-2. All Stingers out for TSM. This is their last-ditch effort to try to stay alive in this map.
Revealing area.
Well, we'll find out. Similar look as far as how TSM's going to set up this initial look.
Poison's off.
But that could be said for Mad Lions. It's the same turret that's down, and this time Zextro is right on the other side, playing a different angle. He will have an exit to drop down with some help. Barrier orb's up, and Zextro was ready for it. 1-for-1 is perfectly fine. The defense is a little bit scattered, though, across B. This could lead to some individual gunfights, but the Cloudbursts don't really allow TSM to get in, and Trick and Ainge will stay alive. TSM up a creek without a boat, not just the paddling.
They had just the paddles and no boat.
Yeah, one oar.
That's a tough one for sure, as we got Hayes with 19 HP left here. Hoping to work a miracle through his poison orb at middle. Actually, it's gonna catch Drone off guard there, but still such low HP, so little time, and the spike not in his possession.
Toxins going up.
Doesn't look good, and it's not. Oh my. And I don't know, I don't want to bite this off, more than we can chew right now, but you start to wonder if TSM was doing their research into things like, let's not pick Fracture because Mad Lions is good at it. Why in the heavens did you let Icebox through if that was the case and you did your research ahead of time?
That's tough, man, because it seemed like in the first half, TSM defensively just always seemed to guess wrong on where they placed Corey's op. Like every time they tried to put Corey in a different spot to have impact with an operator, Mad Lions was going the opposite direction. And they were just so coordinated. Like their attacks were so well timed. Everybody knew what their role was within the course of the round. Again, they were able to dictate the pace the entire time. TSM seemed like they were wanting to play retake setups on A, but they just weren't able to execute them very well. And Mad Lions were able to get their key post-plant utility players out of danger at the back of A side and then just milk the clock with their utility. So it was a combination of things that I really think harmed TSM in the first half. In the second half, obviously they just haven't been able to get going, right? I mean, they lose pistol, their econs down the drain. They have to try to go for a Stinger force up. They kind of don't have a choice. And so we're probably never even really going to get to see TSM's playbook on the attack side for this map, it seems like. So, yeah, it's just been a rough ride all the way around for them, unfortunately.
Yeah. But on the other side, look at the help across the board. We mentioned this a lot in the pre-map. I mean, the assists down the board are all great. Kills are pretty much from top to bottom. I mean, the difference between Will at 18 and Ainge at 10 is a little bit more steep, but that's just because Will's popping off. The rest of the team is between 12 and 10 kills. That's just great overall team play out of Mad Lions.
That's what we talked about pregame, too. How are the supporting cast work for this team? Working fine to me.
I'd agree.
all looks good from here.
Oh, God. This is going to look great for Will. Hello, little toe tag. Kill plus some damage. Forces TSM to kind of hit the brakes just a touch. Defense over-rotating for now, just in case there is a flood behind. Quickly realized there is not such much of an occurrence of it. Still keeping defenders forward, though.
Yeah, they got Trick still watching A. They have a touch screen that can go back up if need be to kind of slow down an A attack. So they're pretty well positioned for this. They're not too overcommitted. Barrier orb goes down, but that snake bite still stops the default plant from being able to work. And say, well, now try again, but now the wall is broken. They do get it down, though.
Yeah, that's more significant than I think you may think in the meantime, just due to the fact that all of a sudden that angle becomes an option for Mad Lions once that slow orb fades away, which it has. Offensive wall comes up for Mad Lions, trying to have to work through. Slow behind it. Knife also a part of the play, and now Mad Lions with numbers will try to force out Corey. Well done. 3v3 we go. Sentry turret, nanoswarms are finding a little bit of value, but it's actually not planted for the nanoswarms. And Trick is just gonna hold it. An absolute catastrophe for TSM. The only bit of good news is they don't deploy any more rounds on this map.
They didn't have the nanoswarm in the right spot to stop the diffuse, and then they got flashed by the KO, so they couldn't swing out and stop it manually with their weapons. That is, man, what a horrible way to end it. I mean, it was a tough ride the whole way through, but that's the toughest way to lose, I think, just having that happen.
It almost is like the icing on the cake that's being built. Now, do you want to put that cake up for sale? Hard to say. But I think it's still just, that's a great way in all the wrong ways to categorize kind of how the map went for TSM. And it feels bad to say that because they looked good versus Sentinels on this map, but Mad Lions came with something a little different today, Dust.
Oh yeah, Mad Lions definitely came out and impressed me today. I mean, again, we talked about it throughout the course of the game. They seem to have themselves well prepared for this match. They look very coordinated on their attacking side. You know, they were always able to dictate the pace. They were always able to have those like side flanks and the post plants. They knew how to use their utility to like really make it hard for TSM to get comfortable diffusing the spike. You know, just like all the fundamentals that you want a team to have to be successful, Mad Lions displayed on this map. Really well done.
Lots of great depth, lots of great layering, and again, great team performances. A lot of things to kind of shine light on for this Mad Lions roster, but that is just map number 1. TSM will have a chance to play on their pick next. Question marks surrounding it as they have selected Bind for map number 2, a map that did not play at all during the Ludwig and Tarek Invitational. More on that, and of course, more from Sierra when we come back on the backside of the break. Don't go far! It's NA Challengers. More after this.
The one skin I'd have applied to all guns would be the Prelude, the Chaos, Prelude to Chaos. I like that. I just like the Vandal. I don't know. It just, I don't know. Maybe it's the sound or the way it looks, but it just hits harder than all the other skins.
I'm gonna have to go Ion, but it would be Oni if Oni had like, what is it, like the sound for it, VFX or whatever, right? Doesn't have that, so I'm gonna go with Ion instead. But my second answer would be Oni. I would definitely want that across all my guns if I could.
If I had to use one skin, probably would have to be the Oni Phantom, and like everything else doesn't matter, just the Oni Phantom.
H-Punk. There was because well, it's just, I don't know, it's just the cleanest skin. There's a point where I think there's been 2 Mage Punk bundles. I just had every Mage Punk equipped. I got tired of it a little bit, but like, I mean, it's still probably my favorite bundle, like my favorite collection.
I think the best skin would probably be Prime. Like, imagine a Prime op. Oh my gosh, that'd be nice. Yeah, it's like, I mean, I like the Vandal, and I mean, I do op, and like, I don't know, like the sound, I feel like would just be so nice if they had like an op Prime.
The Ion Vandal, Ion everything, which they basically already have. Yeah, they basically already have it, so that's the one skin for sure.
I think the Zed collection is probably my favorite, honestly. Like, I love the Zed Phantom. Maybe Zed or Recon. I would say Zed or Recon, but I'm leaning towards Zed. I like the sound. It's like, I feel like no other gun. I feel like a lot of the sounds of the skins are pretty similar. But I feel like the Zed, like when you hear the Zed, you know that's the Zed, nothing else, you know?
Reaver, for sure. Cause I love the Reaver Vandal. I love the Reaver Phantom and the knife. So give me Reaver everything and I'm chilling, honestly.
The green Oni Phantom. I used it for like the last 2 years ever since it came out, and I just like it the most. So yeah.
I think if I had to use a skin for the rest of my life, it'd have to be the Sovereign set. But like the white gold specifically, the white gold's crazy. No, I just like the aesthetic, like the white gold, like god aesthetic, like Greek god aesthetic. I like it.
Probably Sovereign. Having a Sovereign everything would be so cool. Sovereign Phantom. Don't know why it's not done yet.
If I could only use one skin on all of my weapons, I would say the Oni. I think the clean look is just great, and if I could have it on a Vandal, that'd be insane.
Like the little Sovereign, I just love like the kill animation sound and everything, and it's not too like eye popping, and it's like minimalistic at the same time. It's like really good.
Well, I have just as many questions regarding TSM as when we started the broadcast, but for Mad Lions, some of the questions are starting to get answered. Will, really freaking good. Icebox, absolute domination. I mean, that was a stellar performance there, Shift, to start things off.
It was more than stellar. I think you could pick from like a whole handbag of adjectives to talk about it from Mad Lion's perspectives, or even from TSM's perspective, just maybe not so positive on which adjectives we use. But I think the thing about it is, and Dust had mentioned this, we kind of lean towards like, here are some things that are going wrong. Can TSM continue to do this and find more success when it comes to things like defaulting to play for retake? The problem was Mad Lions didn't give him a chance to do anything. I think that's probably the best way to kind of take the spark notes of that map and put it into form, because Mad Lions dominated on their entries, they dominated on their post plant holds, and then like Dust mentioned, we never really got to see much on the opposite side when we got to halftime, since it was a 10-2 affair and the pistol was lost. So I mean, that was as clean as you'd like for Mad Lions, and for TSM, I think we may have more questions here than just the initial ones we had.
Yeah, I mean, the first chance that we got to see TSM maybe be able to use their own utility when they're on attacking end, the Nanoswars weren't lined up, and all of a sudden it's game over just like that one mistake, and they didn't really have any room for mistake at that point because of how well Mad Lions was able to do beforehand. So we'll have to see next time how they do, but first we got to check out some of the stats. Just insane.
10 of 11 post plants going their way. I mean, that's unbelievable. They had all the clutches. They had the majority of the first kills. There were no thrifties from either team this game. So that obviously helps when you already have the big lead, that you're not allowing a thrifty to kind of slip through the cracks and kind of, you know, slow you down. So, I mean, Mad Lions just dominated the timeline. As you can see here, again, they were the ones that taking the pace the entire time. In the first half, on their attacking side, TSM were never able to get aggressive defensively and really slow Mad Lions down or disrupt them. I think everything went according to, you know, plan if you're Mad Lions, and just a massive victory. But now we head into Bind, where a lot more question marks for me on this one, because TSM had mixed results in the Knights freeze out at the end of last year, didn't play it in the Lugwood Invitational, and then also on the Mad Lions side of things, they had a very close loss to the nation in the qualifiers. They lost 11-13. That's really the only time that they've played it. So you're kind of coming to a situation here, Matt, too, where who really knows like where these teams stand on Bind? And we know that Bind's also on the way out the rotation come week 3. So, you know, are you really putting a lot of time and investment into putting stuff into this map, or will we just kind of be seeing kind of the same old stuff we're used to seeing on Bind, and just whoever executes it better wins?
Yeah, because at first glance, seeing that 0% win here for Mad Lions looks a little concerning, but when you're putting everything together, a 11-13 loss to the nation, that's not just some random players. There is actually some skill to this team. That loss starts looking actually pretty okay. So the fact that this is where we're going for TSM to try and bring this into a map 3 shift, I think is really interesting.
Even more so, just to kind of throw a little bit extra frosting on this, Will went 22 and 16 for the L in that map. So he could continue to be a major problem for TSM. That, to be fair, like, was he the one that like entered in as Raze and dominated opening frags? Not necessarily. He was great as kind of that second line of, now that I know where everybody's at, I'll absolutely destroy you. So if that holds true again for Bind, TSM could be in some major problems here, where last they played it, it was way back kind of in the middle of December, and it was versus Shopify Rebellion, and they got smoked 3-13 on it. So I don't know. It's definitely curious to see TSM not just pick this map, but even let it through, I think, in the first place.
Yeah, and even just going back to Will, because you're talking about maybe not necessarily leading the charts, but I feel like there was so many highlight plays from that and so many things that were well done. Even just starting with that very first round, sure, he's going to die, but just the utility, the paint shells to make sure that in the end, Mad Lions can be clutching out that round. Even that one insane round where he got a kill on every rope over on A's site. I mean, he was just, I felt like a little bit unhinged on the Raze during that first match. And if that's the Will that we're going to be getting throughout this series, I feel like Bind could be very dangerous here for TSM.
Yeah, I mean, I think that what people forget is like that Raze is Will's most played agent. And then after that, it's Jet. And then after that, it's Reyna. He kind of got forced into a chamber role because of that meta when he was on 100 Thieves, but he has always been much more comfortable playing these duelist characters, particularly Raze. Like, he has like nearly 40% of his games in his career have come off of being Raze, and then another 30% is Jet. So the fact that he's able to kind of get back to playing, I think, some of those agents that he's more comfy on allows him to have more freedom to see the impact that you saw today in this matchup, and we'll probably continue to see throughout the season.
I think on top of that, you're probably also going to expect to see some flexibility out of Zexro. He is definitely, I think, a player that is mostly taking a look at what he does from the Sentinel side of things, but I expect him to be a little bit more engaged and more active, because I don't anticipate seeing things like a Cypher or Killjoy for him on this map in particular. So his ability to already be kind of a top KD leader for his squad in so many regards could also be another problem for TSM that they need to find a solution to very early on if they want to get back into the series.
Well, the agent composition that TSM was going up against definitely caused them issues, and now that we have our agent select ready for Bind, we'll see if that is the case once again. Have fun, you two. I'll catch up with you later.
Oh, we'll have fun. You don't have to wish us any well wishes on that one. We're going to have a good time with that much, that's for sure. But Dust, I think this is, again, you know, what are we going to get out of TSM this time around? We've seen them kind of, when they were playing throughout, again, that freeze out, they played a wide variety of agents, but that was, I mean, well over almost 2 months ago now. So this could be a new look for us, and maybe we'll get an idea of why TSM wanted this map in the pool.
Yeah, I mean, they're definitely going to go for the double initiator and double duelist here with Corey and Seven. So that's going to be a very fast-paced composition that's going to really just be looking to kind of send it, flash and dash, and just try to get work done. As you noted, Zexro has a very wide agent pool, so he's actually playing Brimstone on this map. And then kind of the rest is what we tend to expect. You know, Will obviously very much going to play that Raze. Double controller is definitely a composition that works very well on Bind with the Viper in tandem with the Brimstone. So that's the kind of difference these two teams have taken into the map. You have one team that's focused more on having a faster paced composition with two duelists, and then another that's trying to control the map more with that double controller setup.
Sure. Yeah, I know. I like that call, especially kind of keeping your eye on Drone on the Sage in particular. You know, that's kind of, again, the antithesis of what we're getting from Seven towards this Jet, so to say. Yeah, the flash and dash, that has to be, I think, what we look at first and foremost. The double duelists could provide that little bit of extra engagement and fragging potential that TSM was also missing, to be fair, on map number 1. So I don't know. I think that you kind of look towards Seven in this particular instance and say, all right, can you actually kind of lead the charge successfully as probably the entry man here for TSM?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, this is the agent he was more known for, and he kind of had to make the role swap to make room for Corey on a lot of different maps to be that Sentinel. But again, as we noted on this map, they're going to go for double duelist, so he should feel comfortable flexing back into the Jet. Should feel at home here, but they need to hit the ground running on this attacking side.
Agreed. Well, must-win map for TSM if they want to try to see something go their way in the stage match. Drone with the opening barrier kind of controlling B long. And this is, again, just proactivity from Mad Lions, trying to challenge things early and get a good read on what TSM is going to try to do to counter it.
Yeah, with that, he'll be able to get away very safely. He's also able to pick up the orb without any danger. So definitely some good early intel as Corey and company looking to try to get up close here. And still looks like they want to play this B split, but obviously they could always teleport back if they feel that they're not going to find what they want on the B side. We are seeing a pretty forward defense on short from Mad Lions, I will say as well. Will and company really kind of being proactive about peeking this angle. So they want information. They're not giving up anything for free.
Nature, his first guiding light only was used to make sure no one was playing inside a short cubby. So they really don't have any intel on how many is over defending the A site. So a lot of question marks for TSM, who essentially are empty from any intel whatsoever. And this may just have to be a raw out flash dash attack because there's really nothing they can go off of at the moment.
We did see Guiding Light go into Hookah, not spot anything. This is allowing Will to rotate back to A in time before this attack sets in. So that's certainly good news for Mad Lions defensively. But TSM, here comes that aggressive push through, but they're getting slowed down by Zexro.
Yeah. Perfectly fine to get the 1-for-1. 13 seconds on the clock. The defense still here, though Will does not have any utility to stop this plant from coming in. Does he peek through? Waits for Ainge first and foremost, and the trades are actually not successful enough to stop the spike from being planted. So advantage to TSM, 3v2, a retake over through U-Haul on the way from Mad Lions, but have now second-guessed it, and this TSM post-plant defense huddled around boxes. First swing, good. Hayes will drop. TSM still able to hold these corners, though. It does put the pressure on the Mad Lions. They have to find a way to re-clear out these spaces. Nature gives himself away just a touch. Around the back drone, misses a chance. Over the top, the jump peaks come through. It's sky-on-sky action. Trick needs to get this to halfway if he wants to have a chance, and he does get it to halfway. Flash comes through, right-clicking back and forth, but it's Nature with his 3 kills to get TSM the pistol.
Yeah, really good push up there from TSM through short. Zexro gets 1, but that's it. So the equal exchange allows that spike to get planted. Try as they might, Mad Lions could not stop it from going down. And then, as you kind of noted, they just had really good post-plant positioning. It was going to be hard to rattle them in a 3 versus 2 with the angles that they had. So they will be able to come up ahead here, 1-0. Not going to see too much investment here from Mad Lions defensively. No force up or anything like that. Just looking to play the normal economy pattern. So TSM looking to jump up 2-0.
Anything cheeky here from Mad Lions. Opening guiding light, double stack long. It's not going to work out. Drone will drop. Quick first blood for TSM. And they're looking for more very rapidly. Trick on the corner of Hookah. Corey, do you expect this? You have to check it, and he does. Well done from TSM. Good discipline. And they're dancing on B.
Yeah, I mean, in a situation like this, Mad Lions had to try to be gimmicky. And TSM knew they had to check for it, and they did. So this should be an easy peasy 2-0 at this point. Now all Mad Lions could hope to do is maybe try to bring some weapons down for some rebuys.
Yeah. Even that won't feel all that punishing, considering we're looking at possibly a flawless round. And Will with a shorty. So a little bit of good luck, have fun here for Mad Lions. Could just opt to try to play for exits as well, which they may be defaulting towards here. No one peeking, but very avidly, Guamon able to check to make sure that there are no peeks from elbow. And yep, the awareness is there. Will paint shells late, trying to catch somebody, and he actually does. Okay, not terrible, looking for more, but will not find much else. So just the single kill, and TSM largely can be comfortable for that repurchase, no worries.
Yeah, everything goes according to plan as far as TSM's concerned on that round, but now comes the bonus. They do, of course, have the Bulldog on 7, but other than that, it is SMGs aplenty. Full rifles here for Mad Lions.
Can I get
This is where we'll start to kind of see the real test of Bind come into play for both these teams. Looks like we are going to see TSM maybe looking to keep the pace up quick here at short A to kick this one off.
Yeah, I'm here for this as well. Especially considering the breach can just do so much early work. Drone's actually the one that's concussed over through bathrooms, but it doesn't matter. Shuts down Corey, who had a stinger dropped to him by Hayes, who's also going to get completely surprised here. Oh, it's just all blowing apart. TSM miss out on the bathroom play, and now it's just down to Hayes by himself. 1v4, and in a bonus round, not much will feel all that rewarding, although Hayes is giving us something to think about as he gets a quick 2, but the problem is he's down to 10 HP.
He is, and he could have picked up that orb to get his ult. He is just 1 tick away from that. But again, he doesn't have spike possession. so can't really put that ult to use anyway. And 10 HP, yeah, not much he can do there. Really well done from Mad Lions. You can see TSM were layering that initiator utility to get up short A. You know, they had the fault line coming through, which got Gubby and Long, plus the guiding light. So they're getting a lot of space off that utility, but they didn't get the frags. Xro shuts down the short A portion, and then the player that got stunned in bathroom still got the frag anyway. So it's just the finer details not really panning out for TSM. And an otherwise, I think, pretty well-designed attack.
Agreed. And here's the little bit of extra good news here to kind of help bolster up TSM. Even though you lose the round, you do force a lot of purchases out of that bonus. So you come into round 4 with a lot of advantages. Quick play all the way through the teleporter, looking to control bathroom side. That's going to work out. Hayes kind of has to stand guard here, so to speak, because you just don't want to get rid of this mid-spice market as you're looking to hit over towards Hookah.
That was a crazy little combo to get long A control that quickly defensively, get the intel, and now look at the reward. They get to just start rotating everyone over to B already for the most part. 3 players already here standing.
Ball line will come through. Flash to follow, even exchange bar, but this is still TSM forcing their way on towards site, and it's a great force at that. 3 for 2, the exchange numbers lie with TSM, and Nature's gonna get the plant off without contest.
Zach's trying to slip in with these smokes, though, to see if he can blow this thing back up right now, but Nature and company are aware, so I don't see things really getting out of hand.
Although, that's a pretty important elimination. Showstopper's earned for Will, but he is low on health, just 31 HP. You feel like Zexro's going to have to be the next one to make a move. This 1v1 versus Nature could be everything, but it wasn't a 1v1. Corey was helping out. Paint shells come through. They will damage, but Nature pushing out, finds the kill, no worries, and TSM win the key 4th round and go up by 2.
Yeah, TSM knew that they had a little bit of a timing window before that rotation could really happen from Will, who had went through the teleporter outside bathrooms, and so they decided to go ahead and just hit B, and they just traded very efficiently on that and held on firm from that point forward. So they will go up 3-1, Mad Lions. Kind of a low buy around here, just getting some bare necessities, waiting to full buy next round, of course. Don't you dare. Don't you dare. I know exactly what you're going to... No, I refuse.
Early play out of the orbital strike, trying to clear out the teleporter, but Mad Lions really were never there. So they survived through the early ult. And TSM are still looking to try to work their way into Hookah. There's not a lot of intel if there's anyone still here or not. So Seekers are going to be used to try to get the open door. And it will work out.
Those paint shells.
Well placed by Will. Just doesn't find any kills, and the flash behind this will allow a pretty even cleanup. TSM walk away with two kills with spike plant. Not too much cost.
Nature and Hayes take a lot of damage. Now they can just get healed back up by Nature on the sky. And now that, of course, they have the superior numbers, they're holding the Hookah angle here, but 7 slices Xro immediately.
Here.
If Drone can find one from the front, maybe this becomes more doable, but largely speaking, this post plant is very locked in. And so it will stand, but Trick's able to at least get himself a free rifle back away. Next round that we get into round 6 is going to bring a lot of fireworks with it. We've got a ton of players that are really close, if not already earned their first ultimates.
Yeah, I mean, that's just, you know, well played by TSM. They know up against the Eco. They use the Seekers to make sure they don't have to worry about someone playing some type of gimmicky angle or corner. They're able to clear that all out. While they did take some paint shell damage on their way out of Hookah, it wasn't enough to actually get any frags. They still were able to flex their superior firepower to control that B side and take the victory. But now Mad Lions back into a full purchase. And that's just where things are going to get a little bit more interesting. It's going to get a little bit tougher now on TSM to enforce their game plan.
I like the call for the early timeout, though, if you're Mad Lions. You've got a lot of tools available, but you have been able to learn patterns and trends in these first 5 rounds as well. And it's hard to really say, like, you know, when we were talking about Icebox, this was the one thing that TSM were doing that wasn't finding success. Some of these rounds have been pretty close, considering the fact that TSM have gotten the spike down a handful of times. It's just that, you know, the kills are really rapid and they're very evenly exchanged in these first blood engagements.
Absolutely. And the thing is, Mad Lions know what they're up against. They know what this composition's capable of. You know, if you're TSM, you can, in the snap of a finger, attack a site with all this initiation utility and having a jet and a raise that can satchel and dash in and just try to gain ground very quickly. So that forces Mad Lions to be very reactionary, or it forces them to decide, hey, we want to try to slow you down and disrupt things and do something aggressive. You know, make a push up short A, make a push in the showers. You know, maybe get aggressive inside hookah, try to slow TSM down before they can get that speed going. It's really just up to Mad Lions on what they feel is best. And it's kind of still too early to call.
Yeah, I agree, but you kind of get that, just to reiterate with numbers. Drone and Aegis has really not been a part of this defense yet, and they're going to have to be a part of it right here. Oh, snake bite, really good to separate the offense. It's a 2-for-1 peak. And now you've got both hands up. Rolling Thunder on the way in. Orbital Strike is just a bit outside, but it does at least chip away damage on towards 7. It also stops the spike from being planted, as this wall is a huge deterrent for that. TSM kind of have to sit and wait for the next retake attempt to come through, which it is coming very rapidly. Mad Lions are stacked, but a little bit of doubt maybe, as they have not seen much as they make their way over towards the truck.
Yeah, everything's kind of come to a screeching halt, but everyone's here ready to go at A. The first one to strike is going to be 7 as Trick trying to take a peek here. Will trying to slide out, see if he can take advantage of it, but he can't. Nature shuts it down, and TSM, despite the rough beginnings to this round, are now on top in a 4-on-1 post plant.
Zextra does not have much to work with here. All 3 Sky Smoke, sure, but he's going to have to find at least 1, probably 2 kills the hard way before you can even think about blocking off lines of sight. Has done well to clear off the back of the site, plus also U-Hauls, but this is where things become difficult. Nature on the close corner, Guamon there for the secondary follow-up, and then there's just more layers behind that with those that are trusted to clutch up. Not needed though, TSM. Just as convincing as we saw from Mad Lions on the last map, up 5-1.
Yeah, I mean, Mad Lions a good start to the round, you know, with that snake bite to kind of break up the offense after they clearly were trying to get Corey forward with the satchels and the initiation utility. They disrupt that, they get the frag, they put the barrier orb to block off bathrooms. I do think the call on the orbital strike was maybe a bit premature. I didn't really like that from Zex. I think they could have maybe saved that. You know, just keep your 5-on-4 advantage. You've already slowed down the attack. You can save that to slow it down yet again when they actually commit for a plant. I'm not sure why you burnt it short so early.
Here.
Oh, there's information here on the Trick. Problem is, can get away by hitting teleporter. There's a little bit of assistance on the other side of the map from Drone, and whoa, Trick doesn't even need to get away. Gets the first, no problem. Aftershock will flush him out, but even with that said, he still grabs a second elimination. Trailblazer to re-clear, and for the first time, we can really say with confidence TSM stuffed on their opening play.
And that's what we were kind of talking about earlier. What was Mad Lions going to do to slow down TSM's fast-paced composition? And that's disrupt it. They decided to go out long B and take fights, and now they have a 5-on-3 situation. They still have A site very well defended, despite the amount of personnel they committed to defending long B early.
Hayes' position revealed mostly by his weapon barrel first and foremost, but nothing will come of it as of yet. And TSM are very worried about the potential of just a rogue flank out of Mad Lions, and rightfully so, but the problem is you've got 35 seconds and the spike needs to make its way back over. So now the play forward from Hayes, he's going to have to kind of do it himself until the spike can get here. Corey's right on top of it at the moment, but Angel's still in a good spot. Trick still has utility to make sure he stays that safe. Now it's just down to how do you break through the defense. That's a good way to kind of start things off, but the problem is the little peeks through the smoke will put probably too much pressure on Guamon, who has to stick for the plant.
10 seconds
Trick
left.
will very rapidly check for it. And just now use the clock as his ally. Kills will still come through, but Mad Lions take the round.
And the Jiggle Peek even stops them from being able to commit to the plant, so they don't get that economy added. And so Mad Lions strike back early here. Again, just with vengeance at B. Trick had such a crazy amount of impact on that round. Just, I mean, swing 7, he's gone, gets a kill, spam through the smoke, then makes the rotation through heaven, kind of helps finish things off as well. They also now have 3 ults at their disposal coming into this. Economy low for both teams, so this round's very important.
And there's a lot of ultimates on both sides that could play a difference maker. Corey with the showstopper. Nature's really close to Seekers. Whereas for the defenders, showstopper of their own resurrection and Seekers as well. And Mad Lions kind of getting the round. This is kind of another small footnote to the success of round 7. They didn't have to spend any ultimates to win the round, so now you've got a little bit of an extra cushion to make this possible. But right over the top of the smoke, 7 just able to catch out Zexro. And that's a major sense of control loss for Mad Lions defensively.
Yeah, I'm not sure if he would have known that there was actually a crack. The way he placed his smoke, that was basically just a freebie pick for Corey, or excuse me, 7, with the operator there. So maybe a little bit of a mistake on his end. I'm not kind of realizing that. Kind of just gives one away after slowing down TSM initially with their utility. So let's see what TSM can do with this man advantage. They're certainly looking to still close in on this B side. There are 2 defenders on site. And the rotation's so far away because they're flanking through long.
Yeah, and this is also being watched. Hayes does not have to be a part of this play. He can just make sure no one hits the flank. But this is taking time, and here comes the play through market while the play from the front is completely stalled out. It's a back-and-forth affair, but the flank has been stopped. The spike will rotate through the teleporter, and this will be a free plant on A with just Will in a 1v3.
Now we'll see what Will can do here. He's got Vandal, he's got health, he's got his paint shells and satchels. Also has the ult, but it's going to take a kill or 2 before he can really feel like he can pull it, and he won't even get a chance. 7 cuts him off right away with the operator. Just an early pick from TSM they're able to capitalize on. And it feels like that's how these rounds have been decided. You know, if Mad Lions are able to get a lot of value out of their early aggression at the beginning of the round, they're able to kind of disrupt TSM, make them uncomfortable, deny map control, you know, get their own, and really make it tough on TSM to execute. Whereas that round, TSM was able to kind of wait out some of that aggression. They get the opening pick, and then they're able to kind of just roll into their game plan.
Right there. And it's not even just the opening pick, which I think the First Bloods will tell a bit of a story on at least this first half. But Hazed, after the First Blood, able to lock down the flank and get both players, that's win condition without question. Will looking to make a play from the opposite teleporter. Corey's gonna have him stuck. He's just following the Seeker. Saying, you go in, I'll follow. Oh, but Will still gets the kill. It's a 1-for-1 trade. Spike still planted. An opportunity for the resurrection, and so it will be. Orbital Strike goes down, but it's too late because the Molly was out first. And now Mad Lions are kind of stuck, having to break back through their own front doors in a 5v5. And there's a couple of decent kills, but TSM are there to meet them. Mad Lions in a very difficult spot, still 3v2. And I just don't know if they're gonna have the time to get through Guamon to this position. He will be flashed out. Responds, but Drone still picks him up. Shot comes through and through the tightest of windows. Will's able to get the showstopper to confirm the kill with just enough clock for the defusal.
Dude, you have to love this. Check this out. So, again, we knew that TSM were going to be throwing these fast-paced plays in. But look at Will, willing to tank the showstopper because he knows that his teammates got res. He's willing to take that 1v1 all day. Then he gets his own showstopper up to finish the job at the end with the hat trick. What a beautiful round for Mad Lions, man. Just absorbing that quick pressure through short A, just pushing through bathrooms to get away from it all, getting the trade, getting the res, and then winning the retake. That was so well done.
This is gonna be fun.
How fun was that round?
Not fun for TSM, I'll tell you that.
Not fun for TSM, it's true. But still, a 3-round cushion, still plenty of work with, although Nature does have to go to the Spectre. Ultimates are pretty much expended across the board, especially now as the Viper's Pit will be the sole defensive utility to block out B-Long.
Also, Barrier Orb is blocking out restrooms, and so it's allowing it to get funneled more towards short, and Zextro's ready for that with the operator. So Mad Lions, once again, similar to Icebox, they're starting to dictate the pace of these rounds defensively. And TSM are having to kind of shrug it off and try to find a way through, but have to do this one with a man down, and that's 7, the guy that's really kind of supposed to be the tip of your spear into these sites, already off the table. And Mad Lions had such good positioning.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting the Mad Lions are actually, now with that First Blood, maybe thinking, hey, this operator presence being shown at A, they're surely going to come over towards B, because it's not just the Viper's Pit defensively that's there. You've also got Will alongside Trick, so holding the A site is actually going to be very difficult to do. And Mad Lions will have to play retake, but Drone just holds the angle a little bit longer, and now Zextro! I don't know how that one missed, it was close. Nearly got a second, so TSM will get the plant, but Dust, we've got a 4v3, and Nature's in a great spot to read this B-Link.
Yeah, a couple of their droning options got shut down before they could actually clear Nature off this corner, so that might be a bit concerning, but they'll just reroute back over to Heaven anyhow. They do still have numbers advantage on this retake.
Triple stack up top where he wanted the fight. I don't think he expected all three to be there. And now Ames, the long rotation, finally started to make his peek out. Slow orb is down. TSM really just stuck in a corner. Nature, it's got nowhere to go. The flash connects onto everything, but the numbers just flat out overwhelming. And Mad Lions making a show out of this first half all of a sudden.
Yeah, I hope we can just get that Sky overview again of what happens, because they get Zexro's opening op pick on short. They have Barrier Orb up on Bathrooms. As soon as it goes down, Zexro slides over and just plays with Drone at the back of B site, almost saying, hey, if they come up short, that's fine. We'll just fall back and play retake. But if they peek showers, maybe we can get another frag on our way out the door. They wind up dodging the ult in the fault line, and they do get that extra frag before they leave. Drone able to get it. So that just gives them even more of an advantage when they commit back to the retake later. And they're able to do so well. Again, they just look so prepared and so coordinated together as a team.
And this is a great sense and a great exhibit of Mad Lion's ability to adjust and adapt as well. I mean, like you had mentioned, not a lot of contest. No way! Oh, are you kidding me? No fly zone for 7. Gamon is there for the trade, but the paint shells will still tilt the opening engagement in front of Mad Lions, and they're not done. A double from Trick. Wanting to get Nature as well. The spam to the box will just miss, but man.
Oh my goodness.
Shut me up, why don't you, Mad Lions?
Not only is it beautiful that he gets the op frag onto the Jet like that, but just the layers of defense behind him to where there was no way TSM could get it back. They just had everyone staged up and ready to go to stop any more forward progression TSM attempted. And yeah, they'll let the spike plant happen, but they're going to have a 4-on-2 retake. They're fine with this. They just got to stick together.
Yep. And so they will. Nature playing a long host plant route all the way through Bathrooms, which means that this stack up of this retake through short is not going to be seen at all. And Haste is looking both directions at once. Here's double footsteps though. Flashes in. Not even gonna bother.
No way.
Oh, he shakes it off. Hold on a second. Will's gotta save the day. Barrier Orb is down and Nature just does not have an angle at it. Will still finalize the kill. Mad Lions tested, but still work through the retake.
Will said that was certainly a bit scary when they missed the kill on Hazed inside lamps. You're expecting to get that when you flash him like that, but it still worked out. But yeah, look at this kill, but they just can't trade him back because the utility comes out from Will, and Trick has his back as well from the closet corner. So there's just no way for TSM to trade in that situation. Try as they might, Mad Lions were just so well positioned. And now they've clawed it all the way back to just a run-round differential.
Yeah,
just
this
one
is a
round left to
5-1
play.
start, Dust.
Yep. Once they got their economy back in order, man, they were ready to go. And look at this! Look at this! Just stemmed up to a smoke.
Flash is there. That should be a free kill onto 7. The orbital strike clears out the well. Nature will only get 1 on this exchange, and Mad Lions will enjoy their map positioning because TSM have to fight through this. That all said, they do neutralize the numbers a touch, but this is costly, only having Cordy and Hayes last ones left alive in a 2v3.
Dude, Mad Lions have been so good. Once they got their money back and they're able to start affording to kind of open up their playbook, they've had so many cool, aggressive setups, particularly over on this long B side, that seems to have always netted them the advantage when it's all said and done. Like, they always seem to come out a man ahead, and it sets them up for the rest of the round. See if TSM can turn the tides this time around. As Drone, though, holding the angle, able to get the first and the second, and that's all she wrote. They tied this thing back up after being down 1-5.
Literally 5 of the final 6 rounds. 6 of the last 7, actually. I think they... We'll see the timeline, but that is just... I think you hit on a great point, talking about them getting their economy back. I mean, it comes right after they start to take that timeout as well. Like, they had to claw their way back in to make sure they weren't going into buy-sell kind of, you know, a cycle, set a trend. But the operator comes out. That was a huge key for Mad Lions defensively. And then, yeah, just their ability to spend. There was not a single round where TSM owned the showers side of the map, by the way. So, map control, a problem for TSM in multiple maps, it feels like.
Right there.
Here we go, man. Pistol coming up. Here comes things. 7 tried to play up close. He's going to get forced back. Has
great
reinforcements
fault
still
line.
behind him here, though. Yeah, and a great aftershock.
Spike down A.
Everyone was hit by that except for Zexro, who was just far enough away. TSM aren't done yet. They still want to play forward. Oh, and Age does get the information. Will firing back. That's from inside the site. He snuck through. I want to say from shower side. So now Seven's got kind of a little bit of a tough test, as he's going to be pushed away. Same with Corey. Mad Lions are staying alive through all this.
Oh, that Molotov, though, is going to be brutal over towards the planer. Oh, wait, no, it misses.
Oh, more utility mishaps for TSM. Now the offensive toxic screen is up. Double stack in towards U-Hauls. It's just Zexro who's playing outside. Hazed has to come forward, I think, as the first one in. A couple of tags to the boxes. Does not influence Zexro, who gets two.
No way.
There's no way. Nature, last one left. Put down like a bad dog. And Mad Lions take the pistol.
Cannot believe that. TSM did so well at the start with that pressure on short A. They did so much damage, but then Will slips in behind, uses the paint shells to push them back to allow his teammates to come up short. They snake bite the default box. They press their way in, but guess what? There's still an out for TSM. It's called A's Molotovs, but then he misses. And then they somehow let Zexro get 2 kills from Closet. I mean, it's just those finer details, man, that are haunting TSM throughout this series.
Yeah. And that's something that we don't expect, by the way. Mistakes because of conversion, not something we often see. Full run down the middle of the map. Fault line trying to get TSM through. Trick trying to work it back with Will, who are throwing a lot of utility at this, and it will be successful to get TSM back on towards the A site, but the Spike is not looking to follow up on this. They're heading over towards B long, and there's going to be a sound cue here for Nature, but he's even find a connection. Drone with the kill, slow orb forward. This will be a Spike plant.
I was about to say they use so much utility over at Market. What would they have left to take the site with? But Drone luckily able to pick up on that defender towards the teleporter. Now they're able to get in with the slow orb and the barrier on the back halls.
Goes from bad to worse, Dust. Shots through the smoke are also connecting. And this long play from Guamon is just not going to get here in time for the defense to really do much about this. So a chance to play for kills on exit, or maybe not, as a new exit has been opened up through the defensive spawn. And Guamon is maybe not even going to get a chance to see anybody here unless he can find the first 1v1 on this shoulder check coming out of Zextro. He can hear, that much is for sure. But he only will take down one. Drone for 3 kills. What a second half he's had so far.
Absolutely. I mean, again, Mad Lions just look always on the same page. They never look lost. They never look confused. It seems like no matter what situation they find themselves in, they work their way out of it. That time they had to react very quickly to TSM getting very aggressive at short A, but they're able to counter it just fine. Now they got into a bonus, though. There are a couple of Bulldogs a part of it, so that helps out a bit. But we got a Bucky on Zextro, and Will looking to get crazy here with the Spectre and the Satchels.
There were defenders nearby. All the timing of the fault line good, but once more the paint shells really are not there. Key scoped in shots from 7 to at least keep some contest over short, but the problem is this will not deter the Spike from being planted, so it comes at a small cost, but Mad Lions have the post plant, and they are set up exactly like they want.
Yeah, they are a man down, though, and they have the inferior firepower, and they don't have any ults at their disposal, so it's all going to come down to how they time their peaks and if they're able to exchange better, because as it stands, you'd expect TSM to do it, but look at Age with lineups from the opposing spawn. Are you serious?
Way. There is no way you expect this. Corey's on for the defuse, though, and he's trying to stick through it, and will be able to. So it was cool, it was cheeky, but it's not going to work out.
Dude, the pocket protector pushing up the glasses on his nose has a lineup from their spawn for post plant? Oh my goodness, dude. As you said, though, it didn't wind up mattering. They were able to tank it for the defuse anyhow. Great fragging across the board, particularly from 7 with that early pick. At least that slows Mad Lions down a little bit, but now they get to come into their full buy with the ult.
Yeah. Prepare for hellfire. Oh, and they're going to hit it off the get-go. Will's going to push into this, but TSM are double stacked and ready at hookah. Can they get away, though? Because there is still a play coming through long. Cloudburst will provide some sort of an exit, but Nature has to hold his ground. Trailblazer will see him, and it actually will stun. Snake making him fragile, but 7 is still an opportunity to hold on to this single-handedly. Long-range shot, they land, but he doesn't get the confirmed kill, and he may just be able to do it all himself. 3 kills in the round for him. Hayes will credit the assist, and Zexro will be the last one left for a 1v3.
Yeah, it's like they were trying to use Zexro's ult as a trap to catch anyone who pressed into hookah, not allowing them to fall back, and then they would be ready just to fight them head on with their weaponry, but it just totally backfired. TSM able to escape all of it. Now they're up 3-1, spike down, nowhere near Zexro, and everyone from TSM is ready to defend. And so time not really going to help Zexro out much when everyone's in such good position.
And no one is giving him even a shoulder because he's seen the top of the hatchery as, but quick trade for Hayes. Off the left side will work out. 2 in a row for TSM. They're able to upgrade a couple of the weapons in the process as well. So we go tied at 8, and Mad Lions will essentially have to save this round. If they can afford a couple of stingers, sure, but this will not be the round that they want.
Yeah, again, kind of another interesting Zexro ult usage. Like, that's twice now he's kind of used it in a weird way. That time I actually could see what he was going for. They just weren't able to capitalize on it.
Yeah, don't expect a double stack.
And so we are going to see them go for the low buy here. They can afford to get a couple of stingers and a Marshall and still have a full buy next round, so that's what they're going to go with. Guiding Light to get 7's op in position here.
This is a new look. Trick trying to battle against it, but that's a musket versus a cannon.
Something like that.
Something like that.
Maybe a musket versus a 50 cal is probably the more.
Yeah.
So we're going to see TSM get aggressive inside restrooms as well.
Yeah,
Meanwhile, Gamong picking up on short, no problem.
Clean. Needed to see something like this, I think, just for TSM to establish that, okay, we're not being pushed around on every front.
Right
there. Let's get the confidence back. Go up around. Hopefully do this flawlessly. That would be even better.
One enemy remaining.
And they very well may. Although drone will change that. Actually, goodness, nearly transferred.
That's a lot of damage.
A lot of damage.
That's a good bit of rebuying he's just forced there. Gonna keep the credits at a respectable margin between the two teams. Or at least a couple of players, though I will say there's still plenty in the bank for Gimon and Nature. 3 ults available for TSM, 2 available for Mad Lions, who are back onto the full buy here. Looks like we might see an early skirmish at Long B once again. 7 looking to op showers.
Yeah, I was saying the op through showers is a different look. And they're not going to give anything away with this. It's just a boom bot to say no one's here. So 7 can just hold this for as long as he chooses. The defense will rotate, knowing that there's a key position in play. Nature flashed. Would have a safe exit if he wants to get through. Showstopper may force it. He gets the kill before he teleports. Unbelievable instinct from Nature. But still, it's traded, and that's the problem. The resurrection was ready to go, so Nature's now all of a sudden on the wrong side of the map, and Guamon has to go to the Rolling Thunder to try to stop this. It will push a couple of players away. Guamon not going to be able to follow up severely off of this. He knows he's got Trick in a corner and will convert, and that's also information on the spike.
Indeed it is, but it's going to get reclaimed by Mad Lions right away, and they do have the 4-on-4 still as they try to make their way into sight. But Corey holding a beautiful angle, but still traded out immediately by drones, which is a back-and-forth affair, but still plenty of time left to go for Mad Lions to call the audible.
Corey's currently stuck inside the container. He knows he saw the Viper playing over towards Hookah, but they know that Zexro is playing from an elevated position. It doesn't matter. Caught a little bit off guard, clears out container. Now the spike can start to commit to this. Still plenty of utility from Zexro, but Nature's in the sight. He once again catches Zexro while he has his armbands out. Ainge up top, though, able to lock things up. Thrown in support after the post plant comes through, and we're tied up at 9.
Man, I tell you what, I thought when they stopped Will's ult, the way that they did, that was going to be the momentum shift that TSM needed. But Mad Lions kept their composure despite losing this exchange. They get the immediate res. Despite a Rolling Thunder slowing them down, at Long, they still make their way forward and just trade their way into a victory. And that's tough if you're TSM. You stopped an ult, used one of your own, and you still don't get the better end of the deal. It's tied up 9-9.
Both teams can pretty much still full afford. Hayes is going to have a Spectre. That's the only real insignificant weaponry in the mix, at least for the defense. And Hayes will use that over towards B, playing alongside of Nature. Spike is down at the moment from Mad Lions, so this kind of feels like their icebox attack. Feel things out to see everyone is. Maybe try to force some counter utility as well.
Yeah, just trying to spread the map and control key areas. They're going to get control of Garden, but TSM counter by being pressed through Hookah into short B position. And so they could easily kind of cut someone off, but Will's aware of this possibility. He's looking for this. It's going to be a very key battle here, as a spike will now make its way to Well. A couple of teleports as well.
TSM have guessed incorrectly. They think this is a teleport play back to A. They're just trying to catch out Ange, who's just a distraction at this point. A lot is spent for that. The previously mentioned Spectre will be upgraded. Orbital Strike defensively is down towards A. TSM still think this is an A play, and this could be a free plant for Mad Lions on B, and so it will.
So much chaos takes place in that market area that TSM can't make wits of what's going on. Nature and Drone now meeting up here at the connector position to Well. He's going to get caught. Hayes at least with the immediate trade, and they do have man advantage here for TSM.
And a late rotate trick through the teleporter. So now he's the one trying to watch this play through Hookah. Will from on the backside of the site, keeping it locked in, and Hayes just more patient. So now it's just down to Will, 1v2, sees the head over the top, knows he's got a player in front of him, but doesn't make a difference. 7 beats him to the angle, plenty of time for the defuse. It's TSM cracking double digit first.
Well managed there from TSM. Again, they kind of got caught in the wrong spot, thinking it was an A hit, but they're able to get the key frags they need to still maintain man advantage and flip back over to B side. Like you said, Hayes able to cut off that teleporter rotation, forcing Will to play it out alone, and they were able to eventually overrule him, so they will take the lead 10-9. Mad Lions with the timeout here. They have to go for a low buy. So they're probably trying to think what's their best attacking strategy with Stingers that might still be able to get them something.
Yeah. But good recovery from TSM, because they were hoodwinked right there off of that long play through Hookah back over towards mid. Still able to recover nicely, but if I'm not mistaken, this is going to be essentially a half-buy situation for Mad Lions, which means you're expecting in this timeout conversation that you probably are going to be good down 9-11. So a chance to possibly have to string together 3 in a row just to hopefully give yourself a chance at extending the map, if not possibly winning it. Whereas for TSM, I mean, look at the numbers across the board. This is much more, I think, along the lines of what we expected going into this matchup.
It's definitely been a much tighter race here on Binding compared to Icebox. Definitely a lot of different tones being set in this one, but Mad Lions still find themselves in a position where they could 2-0 the series. They do have a couple of ults at their disposal. They do have a couple of stingers. They got the Sheriff on Ange. So it's not going to be an easy one for TSM, but they certainly have a nice advantage coming into this with the 1 round ahead as well.
Same spend as far as the Boombot is concerned. It is immediately destroyed, though, by Will, so there will not be a forward angle taken this round by 7 with the op. But as you kind of alluded to, Mad Lions would have a very tough time fighting at that range, so they're going to try to stack something by the look of it just behind this toxic screen. Guamon and Corey are in a good position to kind of read if anyone's already made a play in towards U-Haul. And even maybe a little bit too cautious about this. They're going to spend the paint shells very early on just to make sure no one's already pushed through.
Yeah, I mean, Mon as well. They know they had superior firepower. They're also in good positions, as you already noted. Toxic screen comes back up, but we see him slide out for the fight. Great aftershock as well to slow the rest of this forward push. Spike is actually down, and they can't get back to it without Kamon seeing them. They try to bait him out, but they can't. And now it all falls in the 7's lap.
Quite literally, although he gives up the angle back wrong moment.
They get the spike back as well.
Yeah, that little knife play from Trick was able to get him just far enough forward, but the problem is there is no rotation back toward the B. No intel on what's here at Hookah, so you just kind of have to run through it, hope you find something on the way in. Pings all over the place for the offense over to the B zone. That's where the smokes are going to go down at. Hazed over the top. Good help from Nature once more, and now the double stack has been made known for Mad Lions, who are just hoping for a plant, but even that is not safe. 10 seconds on the clock. Sky smokes will dissipate here in a moment, but Trick will still get the spike planted. but in a 1v4 with a stinger right on top of the container, you just don't feel like that's gonna be all that doable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not a whole lot he could do there. Spike plant, at least a little bit of a parting gift. But TSM are back in control. They're up. They're the ones now nearing map point. Of course, that was a low buy situation for Mad Lion, so they're back onto the full purchase this time around. They have Viper's Pit and Orbital Strike, a brilliant combination for post-plant. But they got to get that spike down first.
Yeah, and through, even though these first blood engagements pretty much from round 1 have been really tight affairs, you know, 3 for 2s, 2 for 1s, TSM have felt, I would have to say, I'm sure very, very comfortable. I mean, we haven't seen Blades from 7 maybe more than once. He's been sitting on this ultimate forever because he just keeps getting operators.
That's because he got the operator. Like you said, yeah, he's been sitting on the same op for a while. They have not really been able to scare him in any sort of way or push him off. They do hit him that time with the Hound, so it gives him a little bit of forward progress over towards short A. But meanwhile, defensively, TSM have pushed out bathrooms. And they're not seeing anything, so they're going to get a pretty good read of the lay of the land here, especially with that Trailblazer spotting out drone. They have a lot of map control, man.
Yeah, this is a lurk versus lurk battle right now, because aims through U-Haul. He finds a kill over towards 7. That could be round change. Trick for the first blood. Here comes the defensive rotation, and Orbital Strike should finish this off, but Will beats to the punch. And Ainge is still behind 7, and he knows that this rotation's coming through, so he's going to make his teammates aware of this. Knife is out. 7 should be dead to rights here.
Enemy down.
No, catches him right as he pulls the ult as well to add insult to injury.
Huge kill. And now TSM, this has just been red. This has to be, can you win the gunfights from this flank? Aftershock will make safe part of the container. Paint shells behind this. Kills are looking good for TSM. Just down to Corey. 1v2 situation. Long range shot, not bad. Around the corner, breaks the camera. What is going on with that boombot? And the vulnerability may not matter, but not enough ammunition. Ainge will take the final win. And 11-10, Mad Lion still involved.
Yeah, I mean, TSM actually had a lot of good things going for them. They pressed out bathrooms. They didn't see anything short A. They had a good read. They had a lot of map control. But then Hayes tries to force a play through the smoke at Hookah, goes down, and that gives the opening away to Mad Lions to get onto the site, trade out, use their Orbital Strike to control Garden, and then they just use their utility to help win out that 1v1 there in the end. So, a little bit of a mishap there for TSM after some good starts to the round.
Even with that said, though, an economy bonus still can play for TSM. We've got a Guardian that's out. Will opening the front door with the showstopper.
Oh,
he has options, but 7 cuts down Tapper play before it can get going. Corey beyond it will allow TSM's defense to hold numbers, but they cannot stop the plant, and the Viper's Pit's here to reinforce the 3v5.
Yeah, that's the problem, though. It's a 3 versus 5. You'd like to at least have one more member left, and that Viper Pit's only guarding the Viper. The other 2 are off of it.
Yeah.
In the closet, getting wrecked by utility.
Aftershock comes through. Goman follows up for the second, leaving Ainge by himself. First kill decent. Second one over the top of the boxes. Not gonna land. It's 7 who finishes it off, and TSM to map point, trying to get us to a 3rd.
Yeah, it really all comes down to 7. You know, we've seen this time and time again, TSM overloading bathrooms early to get 7's op in position. This time around, he uses it to catch Will before he can get the showstopper off. And then Zek's throw, I don't know if I like him pushing back into that. I think it would have been best if he just went short the rest of his team and played the Viper's Pit out. Either way, TSM navigating their way to a map point situation, try to force a 3rd here, and a very good chance to do so considering Mad Lion's economy in this one.
Yeah, it's going to be hard-pressed, I think, if you're Mad Lions. You have to hope and pray that whatever flood you set up works, or the hero rifle out of Will finds an extreme amount of value, but on the other side, TSM just have so many tools to use. Got the Rolling Thunder, the Orbital Strike, and the Showstop. You get dicey. Corey not seeing anything through the initial sky smoke. We'll double-check with the Boombot, and TSM will kind of play a little bit more on-site this round for an A defense.
Yeah, changing things up just a bit. We know how prone they have been to playing these bathrooms, but this time around it will be owned by Mad Lions. Seekers will come out, allowing an orb to get grabbed as well, as Mad Lions making their way up short with the rest of their personnel looking to get this spike down quickly, but Showstopper will slow it down, perhaps.
Connects onto Ainge. There's more players in the corner though, and oh, caught with the paint shells out. Zexor was able to punish, so a 1-for-1 exchange, not bad at all. If you're Mad Lions, you still have Will with the Phantom. Everyone else still on Stingers. Hayes gonna try to stop the plant. That was expected. Drone takes a significant amount of damage, but stays alive. Healing Orb will be used to self-utilize the health pool, and then the Resurrection is it. And coming through, Mad Lions now all of a sudden on the play over through U-Haul. 35 seconds on the clock. Will long range, not gonna get the better of 7. Barrier Orb will block this, but only for a time. And the spike will go down. 3v3 all of a sudden. Can Mad Lions get off the site though? That's the next problem. And they're not gonna be able to. 7 does it all himself. 4 kills for the young man. And TSM go up 13-10 for the map 2 win.
And they just were defensively far too strong on this A side of the map. Mad Lions were consistently never able to get bathrooms control. And when they finally did, TSM were able to adjust perfectly fine with the rest of their defensive setup on the site. 7 with nuclear towards the end of the game, multiple times with the operator and with the rifle.
Yeah.
TSM certainly looked a lot more at home here on Bind. I will say things got dicey kind of in the middle of the first half. I mean, a good comeback from Mad Lions. You know, they were able to, you know, put it back to a tie situation after being down 1-5, but I mean, TSM looked really good second half, man, defensively.
Yeah, it really was. And it's all the right things that we want to see from TSM. You know, we talked about maybe map control issues kind of coming through, but based off their composition, more aggression was a staple of what we came to, and that was indeed the case. Even though Mad Lions, hey, they put up one heck of a show here considering the circumstances, but TSM just a step above. And it also kind of goes to show that it's not just TSM defensively doing great work. Economically, they were always in a comfortable spot.
Oh, yeah, totally true. I think the second half of that game really told it all. Like, TSM never looked uncomfortable defensively. They seemed to always be able to respond really well to what was going on. They had that one slip-up, I think, when Hayes kind of got caught in hookah, and it led to a hit that winds up working out for Mad Lions. But outside of that round, everything else was just so well coordinated, you know, particularly on the A side. They were just relentless, particularly 7 was just on point defending that side of the map.
Hey, trialed and tested, but still good for now. A third map affair between TSM and Mad Lions. Ooh, we got a lot to talk about to break down what has happened so far and what we may come to expect for our third and final map of our first match today in our group play. Don't go far. We'll be back on the backside of the break.
With eBay Refurbished, you have a choice of refurbished qualities to best fit your budget. Certified refurbished items are restored by the manufacturer to like new for up to 50% off. This drill was barely out of the box. Soon it will be back to working like new. Here's how it works. Every item is carefully inspected. Any imperfections are fixed by the manufacturer or manufacturer-approved vendor. Then it's tested to make sure it's working perfectly. Once it passes inspection, it's given the verified stamp of approval. Then repackaged with new accessories and shipped to its ultimate destination. With Certified Refurbished, you can shop with confidence because all our manufacturers go through a rigorous vetting process. And every purchase comes with an award-winning 2-year warranty, a money-back guarantee, and hassle-free returns. That's what makes it the smarter way to shop for premium brands. eBay Refurbished. Like new products, better than new prices.
well, we get a game 3, which we're getting ready. It'll be a couple of minutes, but while we wait, if you're interested, you can get new gaming tech on eBay with up to 50% off of some of their latest gear. Free shipping on top brands like Microsoft, Razer, HyperX, and more. You can find everything you need at the right price. You can check out the deals at pks.dg/eBay. And I just gotta say, guys, the fact that we get to go to a map 3, I think is really exciting. First off, we want to watch the Valorant. Let's put that aside. We all knew that that's what we wanted here. But the fact that we get to see more out of TSM, because if we had left it off how the first map had ended, I would have been kind of disappointed for them and on behalf of TSM fans, because it was a rough one, but their comeback on Bind Shift, that definitely told a different story.
Yeah, we almost got TSM at 50% off as well. It wasn't just eBay products. We nearly 50% off series. But no, things went well, I think, for TSM here, kind of in the opposite ways where things were plaguing them in Icebox. They were not being trapped. They were able to get their plays off the ground and running, and a lot of that was established off of their success in the First Blood engagements. I'll be curious to see what the actual numbers are as far as who won how many First Bloods, but it definitely felt like at the end of those 30-second battles, TSM were holding numbers more often than were. Sure, Mad Lions gave a run for that type of early control is something that TSM could definitely utilize, not just in the future, but more so, I think, just in this map 3 that we're going to get. And yeah, they're 12-11, so it's really close in first kills, but I still think that those First Blood engagements trended towards TSM's favor more often than Mad Lions.
Yeah, I think it came at a critical moment, right? It came in the second half in the clutch when the game is tight and you're having 7 just popping off with the operator the last several rounds to kind of be the catalyst that TSM needed to, you know, get back on top and force us into a third map. I mean, you start to kind of really worry about TSM when they start allowing Mad Lions to come back in the first half and tie things up 6-6, but man, did they ever recover so well in the second half.
Yeah, it was like recovery on recovery. First off, TSM was able to get that lead with Mad Lions, then continuing their way back. And when we had a tied game at half, I was starting to get a little bit worried for TSM because it kind of looked like Mad Lions had kind of figured it out. But as soon as we headed into the swap, I mean, TSM, it just seemed like they were a lot more on the same page, a lot more playing together as a team than we got to see over on Icebox. And frankly, I'm here for it.
And I think when you start to look around things like the objective play, you start to get bigger hints towards, you know, okay, this is now all of a sudden TSM clicking a little bit better. But I will say just this double duelist play, it is refreshing to see 7 on the top of the leaderboard here with 6 of those being first kills, which is great news, I think, when we talked about the obvious kind of play that we expected, which was kind of that flash and dash mentality, especially from the offensive front from TSM. So seeing success on the entry from 7 is refreshing, let alone the fact that there is a bit of a dark cloud kind of following along with him, doing well with T1 when he was playing that jet chamber combination, but never qualifying for VCT. So to see him have this kind of a game, I think is overall just great news for not just him, but TSM fans all over.
And even just on the board, the fact looking at the side of TSM, all of these kill death ratios, it's actually pretty aligned. I mean, when the biggest difference is 21 kills for 7 as opposed to 17 for Hayes, everyone really just stepping up when needed to. And I'm excited then when we're heading over to Ascent, what that means for them in this map 3, because both of these teams are actually pretty decent on Ascent, but there is quite a big difference in who they've been opposing on this map so far.
Yeah, I mean, to kind of pick up on that, you look at TSM when they've played Ascent, we did see them get a win over T1 in the Ludwig Invitational, but a loss to the Guard. They also, in the freeze-out, were able to beat Shopify Rebellion on Ascent as well at the end of last year. So definitely, like you were kind of starting to allude to, a little bit of a difference in competition on who they're facing when they play that map. But as you noted, as far as just like comfortability, you would think that both teams should feel, you know, pretty good about playing Ascent.
And on the
Otherwise, they wouldn't have left it.
On the same, that's true. On the same, still play very similar compositions, at least based on recent results. The only major difference is kind of the option towards controllers and smokes, which is more so the Astra for TSM we've seen in the past in comparison to the Omen on the other side. So we should see very similar, I think, just overall approaches to how these two teams want to play the map. And I think it really will come down to executions and more so who's going to make the least amount of mistakes, because we've seen those kind of plague one side or the other at different points throughout this series so far.
And it'll be a really big point at which Mad Lions is there tested against one of the teams that was invited in, as opposed to having to make their way through these open qualifiers, because with quite a big difference in the competition they've faced so far with their recent results on Ascent, it'd be intriguing to see when put to the test with a team that should theoretically be better than quite a few teams that we have here in Challengers and has these results, just how well they'll be able to perform when really put to the test.
It's one of those things, though, like when I look at how Mad Lions played Icebox and how coordinated they were and how good they were at taking map control, Ascent is one of those maps where like mid control becomes oh so important.
Yep.
Like if you're an attacking team and you're able to threaten market position early and threaten tree position early, it allows you to call quick audibles on what site you want to split, and it causes the defense to have to scramble because they don't have information, they don't know exactly where you're headed, and they're having to cover a lot more ground. And I think that kind of plays to Mad Lion's strengths and how coordinated they are, whereas TSM, they were more just explosive with executes and being able to kind of get in your face, and that's something you can still do on Ascent, though. Something that we see time and time again. So it'll be interesting to see how those two styles kind of clash on a map that allows for both.
And I think just really quickly, we'll have to kind of keep an eye if some eventually gets to the defense. Are they going to default to playing reserved and trying to play off of retakes more than actual early entry contests? Because that was a big problem for them on Icebox, and it could be once again here in Ascent.
Well, we won't have to wait long to find out. It's time to head it over to the agent select and get started with map 3. Let's go.
Well, let's do it. Let's get this. And I think the expectations should be that we're going to see pretty mirror matchups here, Dust. I think the biggest thing is the difference in who they prefer for their smokes. Although, again, with things changing recently, we also could still see things like maybe even more Sentinel resiliency or just kind of reliancy on the Sentinel, maybe more so than we expected when we saw things like, for instance, like, again, TSM on defense on Icebox, where they were trying to, you know, lock things up from really their own spawn almost, it felt like.
Yep, complete mirror, man. Everyone playing the same composition. It is going to be Ainge even going for the Astra on the Mad Lion side of things. So, I mean, again, this just kind of brings us back to the pre-chamber days of Ascent.
Yeah,
where
exactly
we get to see the Killjoy utility sets and kind of see how you want to vary it. Because that's, I think, the biggest thing about Killjoy is how do you vary how you set her up defensively. Because that can really throw teams for a loop. You know, if you're kind of just known for one particular setup at one particular site, teams can kind of read into that, avoid it, and then it just kind of becomes nothing. But if you can change it up and be dynamic about it, it really can make the attacking team always kind of second guess where they feel safe. So that'll be interesting to see those mind games throughout the course of the half.
And maybe even on top of that, we've seen from both sides' perspectives, getting the early operator also possibly changes how the defense goes down, and we've got a stack through mid with possibly a flash contest right over towards double doors. We'll see if this ends up working out. There's the smoke. Will's on the way in. Shock dart over the top of TSM. Read it. First blood. Go to TSM.
Yeah, they weren't close to the doorway, so there was no real damage done from the shock dart. They were so prepared for that, and they were able to get the frag and now had the one-man advantage to take control of the B site. Smokes are down, blocking all of the retake points. Corey may be low on health, but superior positioning for TSM with the spike down.
Mad Lions are going to give up the play through mid-market and try to flood from the back. 0 point comes in. Knife will suppress the majority of these defenders, but nobody even checks B main, although the smoke from Astra comes through at the exact right moment to kind of pick up on the volley, and we get a pinstripe kill feed. Nature down low. Good for the elimination over towards the sidewalk, and, well, from there, it's just kind of Ainge stuck in between all the rest of the post-plant defenders at this point. Still has Corey at low HP. A chance to turn this to a 1v1. Sees the jump across. Does he get the vision on the spam? No, it's Corey who survives. Little one tap to the face. TSM take pistol.
Now you see Mad Lions early on going for a set play into B-Link, but TSM just seemed to have a read on it. No one was close enough to really get impacted by that shock dart, and they get the frag, and they're able to spill into B very early because they know how many resources were committed to that mid push. They knew that B was wide open for the taking, and they're able to react accordingly. So really well handled there from TSM. You got to applaud Mad Lions for the attempt, but unfortunately that's just the risk you take when it doesn't work out. And so now they are going to be likely looking down the barrel of a 2-0 lead from TSM.
Still looking to kind of feel things out as far as what exactly TSM want to contest early on. A 4-man stack over through the outside of the A alleyways. Hayes watching this with just
This is not the gun you want for this situation.
No, it's not at all. And
He's out of there.
Help. He's trying to get out of there. And meanwhile, Zextra on the other side, flat out overwhelmed. Again, TSM get the read. And well, Hayes does get repositioned to allow his team a chance to stop this play through mid-map. Still though, Mad Lumbers trying to work their way back into this. Jamon's in trouble, and this is not bad as far as the kills are concerned, but the problem is the spike is down, and there's just not really an opportunity to get back in and contest this at all.
Yeah, I was just going to say respect the damage that they're doing, bringing a couple of players down, but, you know, the only other low health player is Corey, who's safely tucked in the site, and they can't really do much more than what they've done at this point. They're just going to hold on to this Marshall with Trick, maybe. Maybe he catches one crossing through spawn. That would be the only other thing they could really gain from this.
Well, Recon Dart's not going to reveal him. They've got him trapped in the defensive spawn. Do you connect on anything? There's the shots, but Drone actually did fall to the spike detonation, and 7 takes care of Trick. So, not as climactic as we may have thought. 2-0, the early lead for TSM, but it's Mad Lions already buying into an Odin to try to get their defense going.
Absolutely trying to hit the ground running, putting their best foot forward here. So we are going to see TSM loading up pretty early for what looks to be some type of either B lobby control early or maybe some type of mid pressure early with their Jet and KO. Otherwise, a pretty kind of default setup at the force fields here.
Nothing crazy, just utility being exchanged. TSM will be given.
Oh, boy.
Initially control the Odin behind the box, though. Doesn't actually connect on the players that are revealed. And Corey actually still grabs the orb without taking any damage. Trick is not going to like watching this VOD back and seeing that he did no damage at all.
Yeah, that is definitely something I'm sure he didn't expect. I'm sure he thought he was lighting someone up there, but TSM are totally fine. A little bit of utility coming in to disrupt them now. Those are trying to come out. Now they're starting to hit some of those nanos and other utility, taking some damage, but they do still break in.
Trick's doing what he can with the bullet hose, but like you mentioned, TSM are on their way forward, and the Albert's just too late. Zextra gets overwhelmed. Trick has to do it himself. Recon dart around the corner. Tries to catch the angle, but help from Ainge has arrived. Just it's not quite healthy enough.
Spike planted.
Spike is over by A, by the way. It's a 3-man hit to B that never had the spike with it. And the full purchase for Mad Lions is going to get thwarted by the bonus here from TSM largely.
Yeah, they were able to put so much pressure on B, getting into the site, forcing rotations from Mad Lions through back halls, assuming that that's what the intended target was going to be. But all the while, TSM still had presence elsewhere on the map to be able to call that shift, get the spike down the opposite side, and they're going to win this round, not only win it, but survive with 3 members more than likely.
And with this bonus, you could still try to hunt out this Odin.
Absolutely, you could.
And it looks like they very well may. The problem is, do they have enough time to make this happen? And they definitely feeling the pressure of the clock. And so Hayes will kind of have to just hope he gets an angle.
I would have liked if they were going to go for that to do it together. It seemed like they kind of just peeked the 1v1 out on that. Like, use some utility, kind of swing them together to try to do it if you're going to do it. Or just fall back and keep your 3 players for sure.
Yeah.
They kind of had a halfway approach there I didn't really care for. But, hey, they're still up 3-0. Still looking pretty sharp as far as what weaponry they're coming in with. Meanwhile, Ainge is having to go for a stinger, and it's just that Odin, that Trick say that they really have at their disposal.
Interesting enough, though, Trick is not pulling this Odin over towards B. TSM may be thinking or anticipating that Trick will still hold that same angle. He was actually watching over through mid. So this is TSM maybe looking to go quick over towards A, and the Odin is here defensively. So do they get the read on this? Can the spam work out? Ainge in the corner. He actually collects on first blood. The offense was not with the play forward from Corey. The stall is great, and Mad Lions will get a free first blood.
Indeed they will, and they might be able to pick up a free weapon as well. Yeah, Will able to pick up the Vandal there, so now they have that plus that Stinger and Odin. Spike is trying to shift back through spawn over towards B side of the map, but the Killjoy utility is still set up here, so it will detect this. Meanwhile, TSM trying to get some mid-control, trying to maybe even pressure tree position and try to break this defense up a little bit. They need something to go their way because they're down a man.
Yeah.
So I do like that they're going for this, but they need results. They need to take even more space and try to find some type of opening.
And all this is taking time. The Spike is not going to have an entry towards B. There's just too many alert systems for the defensive Mad Lions. So this would have to, you think, be a call over towards the middle of the map. And
Oh,
that
great
kill
kill
from nature makes things much easier. Aldrin also will kind of scout things out, and the Cosmic Divide is just not here in time. So Ainge is by himself, trying to hold over through help. Nothing there whatsoever. And a clean dissection for TSM. They just got to get the spike on. That's the only thing they're missing. And Mad Lions could still contest it if they find the kills up top. But they're not coming. And this should still be a clean round for TSM. And yeah.
Really clean. Only lose one player on all of that. I like how they were able to just kind of back off, reset, establish a mid control, start coming up tree, and eventually just pick their way back into the A site despite losing an early player. That pizza's looking pretty good right now.
I was just gonna say, like, are you a pepperoni guy?
You know, I'm down for pepperoni. I'm a very open-minded pizza person. There's not too many pizzas you can throw at me that I'm just not gonna look at. Although there are some like weird European pizzas that have like tuna and stuff on it, and I'm not about that life.
No,
yeah, dude, I don't. Yeah,
pineapple on pizza can be controversial, but tuna on pizza? No.
That seems like a consensus no, but there's some Europeans out there that love tuna on their pizza, man. I'm telling you, it's weird.
Operator up early for Mad Lions, but immediately shut down. The double peek from TSM, extremely successful. Zextro just kind of covering himself with the alarm bot. Does he try to take a peek? Maybe try to catch someone off guard here? It'd be risky, but you also don't want that operator just to fall to the wayside. And yeah, the Aldrin will allow the cross. Reveal comes through. Goman should have completely isolated. Fragment is not quite going to land, though. Oh, is out. Trick will fall deep. Gravity well not going to work out. Zextro gets two.
Down mid.
But the unfortunate part about it is it will only tally to a net one, as Goman could be picked back up again.
They're too scared. They think that he's exposed.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's in a very risky position to try to res. I can understand why they decided just to let that one go. They know they still have a safe one-man advantage if they leave him. And that's what they'll take. Spike goes down onto B. Again, I'm loving TSM's mid-control early here. I love that they're establishing that fat quickly. It's going to give them a lot of breathing room going forward this half.
Oh, how about this? Forcing a little dance with the devil here. Nature into the Hunter's Fury. Third dart just a bit wide, though. So Drone will live through this, but this gives time for Hayes to wrap around for the flank. And he's going to completely shatter this retake. At least you would assume.
One enemy remaining.
There's the first kill. Yep,
Ace.
and the Nano will actually deal with Ainge as well. So a team ace comes through. TSM off to a flawless start, 5-0 up.
Yeah, this is the attacking side I've been wanting to see from TSM. You know, really good spread of fragging across the board, really good use of the entire map. They're not committing anything too early. They're not, you know, slipping up. They're always in trading positions. And again, when you're able to establish mid-control as an attacking team on Ascent, it makes everything so much harder defensively when you're trying to read the map, figure out how you should be rotating. You're getting denied information. There's just more routes you don't have to worry about.
Got Odin Jr. out, the Ares for Trick. Will get a little bit of tagging done, but the damage is insignificant, largely speaking. 7 only losing about 13 points of health and a little bit of the armor. And back to mid-map control, we see TSM just freely walking across. You want to talk about confidence.
Again, it's just, it allows you to have so much diversity. Just having this space threatens the defense so much, and you can rotate to either side very quickly on the attacking side to throw feints or to just like fully send it and just make it harder for Mad Lions to get those rotations because you're able to cut them off from the mid position. They had that deeper smoke right now, but they haven't actually committed into market just yet. Drone comes out, shut down immediately, but it does spot Corey.
This is fine,
doesn't spot anything else, though.
Yeah, you're still draining Mad Lions all of this defensive retake utility, and they're already in a tough spot financially with just Sheriffs and SMGs largely, so I like this little patience from TSM.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Because now they look like they're going to commit over towards Tree. There's a lot of players here, though, man. This could get dicey.
First kills come through. Trick trying to get involved in the backside of Class, but as the last shock dart comes through, the Cosmic Divide will draw a line in the sand, and the Spike, as you mentioned, the ability, the adaptability to get over to a different part of the map completely because of that mid-map control line at B.
Yep. Again, there's a lot of times I used to see in North America last year where some teams would kind of get limited to just going for like the crazy like lobby control early into executes. They would kind of just stray away from the mid control. And then there was this one team in North America, this one team, pretty good team. They're called Cloud9. And they really showed the way that you could play the mid control on this map in this region and really use it to just have such a wide playbook that you could pull from once you have that control.
Ahead.
And it's really started to catch on more and more, that mentality of mid being the golden ticket to open up all your options. And TSM has been flawless with it.
Dynamic in a way that was not, you know, Baby Bay just full sending it down mid for, you know, FaZe Clan. So, yeah, no, that's a good shout. So how do you go and put together a defense here if you're Mad Lions? This feels like a great time for a timeout just to talk about it, because they have not had really any control around the map anywhere. No control over through B lobby. Not even a moment that we've even seen a defender get into B lobby. They have had some control over A archway, but I mean, again, without any ability to work through mid, those players have more often been stuck than anything else.
Man, this is definitely a good time for a timeout if you're Mad Lions, trying to figure out what the heck you can do to adjust. Will, who's had a hell of a series up until this point, kind of struggling to get off the starting blocks, and really no one's been able to find their footing, if we're honest, on Mad Lions. I mean, the only thing I could really say is if you're unable to stop the mid control, then you need to be able to push an extremity. You need to be able to control a lobby area. A lobby, you know, is probably one of the easiest ones to do with the utility that they have with the composition that they're using to try to, you know, press that area and hold something. That way, if they do split into A site, all of a sudden you can collapse onto them from both fronts instead of just from back halls. So that could be one route, or, you know, maybe you start contesting it a little bit yourself. Definitely some different setups. You could be doing the swing tree or peek top mid and try to slow TSM down from establishing their mid control. But if things stay the way that they are and TSM's allowed to dictate the pace the way that they have been, it's almost very reminiscent of what we saw Mad Lions able to do on Icebox when they were running the attack. It's a very similar feeling when you're just allowing your opponent to dictate everything.
The other side of things, even talking about TSM's great success rounds on Bind, we've already seen Will pull an early operator and find nothing of it through mid. So economically, Mad Lions is kind of in that same position of they just don't really have a lot going for them.
You are going to see Drone come out on catwalk and detect TSM looking for tree position early, which doesn't really tell them anything more than that they've already known this the entire half, but it slows it down just a touch. TSM able to get away with not having any presence B because of how they've been playing so far.
TSM, how about this board just walked through a couple of defenders as the flash play for Mad Lions Challenge A was already underway. Null Command is out. Trick just jumping to see how many players he can count on the cross. And this is one of the situations where, again, Drone is kind of stuck here at long A. There's a sentry turret denying him a long flank, so huge advantage for TSM. Not only on the site, but they're even going to control a little bit of the high ground.
Right.
And Mad Lions are just not here.
Here's what I will say, though. It at least gives Mad Lions one way back into A site. The fact that they do have Drone in this position. And these are not only going to be limited to tree or back halls to retake with. They could actually come all the way through. And now with that frag, things look even spicier because now they have man advantage and they have all routes accessible to get back into site together.
That is going to be painful for Seven. Lockdown now out for Zexro. Here comes the pitch. Drone finds another from the long flank. Flashing himself forward. Come on, try to churn the tides, but not able to do too much, leaving Nature by himself just outside the lockdown. Pre-fire decent towards Trick. On the reload, does he have the angle lined up to stop the defuse? Does not look to, and Mad Lions will get on the board.
Yeah, it's just so important for Drone to be able to maintain that position deep in A lobby. Catching the kill is just a bonus out in the middle, because then it really throws TSM for a loop on where are they going to be coming from. It forces TSM to have to now be proactive at a man disadvantage. That's why you saw them try to push their way into tree after Drone got that kill out to middle, but they just couldn't really come up with anything. In the end, Mad Lions able to finally secure a round on the board. Ults are equal now for both teams. Same with firepower. TSM still holding a good lead, though. But hey, at least Mad Lions make something of that timeout.
Yeah, it's very true. Will, knives out. Thinking about maybe trying to give him cheer. He does have a star down to try to assist him to possibly get a peek, but this is a lot of offensive play.
Exactly. We talked about this, right? We needed to see Mad Lions be a little bit more proactive defensively somewhere. It didn't matter where. They just needed to figure out something to try to disrupt TSM, not let them get comfortable. We're going to see the lockdown fake here at B. It's going to draw the Hunter's Fury out from Trick to shut it down. So just kind of a canceling out of utility as we are going to see TSM slide into A through tree.
3 as well. Footsteps heard, reveal is in. Ainge does not expect this at all. Somehow still alive, just doesn't make much of a difference. Zexro will deal with the lurker of 7, but TSM have gotten exactly what they wanted. Full control of A. Trick trying to challenge it. Oh boy. Man, that will come through. The spam to the wall will not land though, and Mad Lions kind of get away into a 3v3 position. The spike's not even planted yet. Finally they'll go down, but Mad Lions are here to try to challenge this.
Yeah, shock darts already coming into the site. They're not quite going to land. The second one does tag them on just a bit. You see Jet trying to peek over the top with the ult, and Trick does get a frag off the back of it.
Ball and the knives do land eventually. How about that for Mad Lions? There's a moment in there where you kind of see that little peek from Trick. You say there's no way he gets away with this. Everyone knows where he's at. But somehow he gets a kill, slips away, and then survives through the gravity well to give a face-up 3 where Will's knives the difference.
Yeah, I mean, that was really well done from Mad Lions. You were liking TSM's odds, and they were able to kind of slip through tree into a site. And not only that, but basically deny Mad Lions a lobby control because they're getting the frags and getting the spike back around through. But in the finer details of the 3-on-3, Mad Lions able to fight their way back up top. And now start to shrink that gap on the scoreboard just a bit, though TSM still aren't going to be sweating just yet.
Different look here from Trick. Lots of damage off the reveal, but once more, no first blood tilting in favor of Mad Lions. But Will is holding an off angle right in front of B main, and he will be able to still hear some of this action that's still unfolding over through double doors.
Yeah, again, Mad Lions have made a really good adjustment in making mid-control a lot harder to get for TSM. TSM's taking a lot of damage along the way. They're losing personnel. They're not comfortable. Their tempo's being slowed down. Now we see this happening where they're trying to gather up at A lobby, but they're being smoked off, and now Trick throwing the drone out there as well. So Mad Lions are starting to find their footing.
No, you made a really good call during that timeout of you've got one of two options for Mad Lions. Either play off the extremities or try to force something through the middle, and they're kind of doing both at once here.
Boy.
Oh my gosh, so much information. Trick says, bet. Hold on to this.
My own's been waiting all day for this.
I bought this thing 8 rounds.
It's like, I'm gonna get my wall spam eventually. Gosh darn it. As Seven's gonna get tagged up by the alarm bot there into middle. Turret will go up. We're gonna see a face-off at market, but Zexro will be the victor of it. He's able to maintain his own turret, watching B lobby, so they know no one's there. They know that TSM are committing up through tree as they see these flashes, but Trick stays alive.
Smokes down, glass broken. TSM trying to take the high route. Will's gonna hear that everyone's in shit and actually catches out another for free. Now the information's good for Ainge to turn, trying to take the fight. No one's gonna get through. And invest all is for Mad Lions, 3 rounds in a row.
Man, that's just a situation where Mad Lions are not only able to keep full tabs on B lobby the entire time between Will and between the utility of Zexro, but also Zex able to win the mid exchange on top of it, and now realize what TSM are doing, and everyone's in place ready to go. Mad Lions have made all the adjustments necessary to be successful in this first half. Now it's on TSM on what do they want to do to change it up? Do they want to try to pick up the pace, just go for a quick attack before Mad Lions can start pushing an extremity? Do they want to look for an early skirmish to try to just not allow Mad Lions to settle into some type of their own map control? I mean, this is where the chess match starts to happen.
Yeah, exactly. And it almost feels just got to throw it out there just a touch.
Okay, go ahead.
If mistakes are being engagements, like there's no reason to force the 1v1 onto Zexro in my mind if you're 7. You've got help nearby. The intention is over towards A. I get if you win the gunfight, it completely controls the middle of the map again, but Mad Lions are once again kind of capitalizing on a couple of small mistakes here and there from TSM. So the trend is shifting, and we're starting to see maybe a little bit of the holes kind of, you know, creating a bit of an opening here for Mad Lions to also get back into this game. And the economy is also started to shift.
Yeah,
just a touch here.
That's what I was just about to say. Like, the war chest of TSM's big lead early has been drained, that's for sure. They do still come into this with a full buy, though, and a couple of ults in play. In fact, the only 2 ults available are sitting with TSM. And
no way.
And he gets away, dude.
That is dirty. And your ability to try to set something up to watch the flank from 7 is now off. That knife is going to connect. It just feels like TSM is getting caught out by every bit of utility from Mad Lions on this.
You want to fight it?
They're trying to Cosmic Divide their way in, but a smoke is slowing them down. But here they go. Pop flashes from Drone, able to get the kill onto Corey. Trick coming in as well. I mean, it's just getting roasted.
Spike down B.
It's just red from minute 1.
Yep. It's kind of hard to pull off that execute with the Cosmic Divide when they already know that you're there.
100%.
And they're ready for it.
Yeah. Hayes, last one left. 1v4. Nope.
So clearly the call from TSM off that timeout was to make that adjustment that we were kind of alluding to, which is, okay, let's just pull the trigger on something pretty quick early. Don't really let Mad Lions get into some type of setup. Don't really let them get any kind of their own map control, but they just got bogged down by Will with a quick pick, and he's able to escape. And then everyone's already rotated and ready to go to stop that execute.
Yeah. Okay. So you got Corey on Knock TS, and everyone else is going to be able to afford Phantoms. You lose this round, though, you're going to go into the last one of the half with essentially nothing. So I know it feels weird to say, only 10 rounds in, but this is a key round for TSM. Trying to keep the advantage that they've already built and worked so hard for in the first 6 rounds.
And they definitely look like a
drone.
Yeah, they definitely look like a very polished squad when it came to their mid control. Yeah. I like the change in this mid, though. Now they're looking to get aggressive towards defensive spawn with an ult. They're not looking to play the tree position, but Zexro has been so good at defending this market side. That's the second time now he's won a key battle out in middle to halt TSM.
And that was help from Will, but more so, that flash over the top from Drone gets there just as soon as the peak happens. So again, great team assists coming out from Mad Lions, securing a free first blood. Spike is still in hand for TSM, but they have where they want to go because mid really isn't that much of an option anymore.
Concealment.
Yeah, there's an alarm bot still there that would detect if they try to make a move into market. Meanwhile, Mad Lions hold man advantage. Hayes is just trying to see if he can sniff something out on the A side, but he has no idea that Ainge is wide, but he still gets the frag anyway. What a huge flick from FaZe to get the numbers back equal and now put the pressure on at A. Now he knows the Sova is there. That allows his teammates to push up mid a little bit more confidently, and now things get a little bit more scary for Mad Lions.
Turret's destroyed.
The second turret actually finds that this value is coming over towards the B site. Zexro going to be pushed off just a touch as he still have an angle. Double nanostorms come through. Nobody even looks towards the backside of the defensive screens, and Mad Lions just take every kill for free. Oh, Hayes did so well to try to move the defense around, but the hit from the front comes up completely empty. It's 5 rounds in a row for Mad Lions.
I don't understand that. They did not put their utility deep enough into defensive spawn to stop a player from holding that angle. They needed to either throw it deeper so someone can't hold that angle, or they needed a smoke from Hayes to block off that doorway position. Instead, they just walk right by it, thinking nothing of it, and they get owned. Like, that was so odd. Just a huge overlook of the finer details there. They were doing so well with Hayes' entry and getting up mid in the first place, and then just crumble by not watching back off.
Flash smoke out from Mad Lions, maybe trying to give TSM the insinuation that they are still playing for that opening round pistol play, and that forces everyone out into the thick of it. Oh my goodness, has full been lost for TSM.
Whew. That was over in the blink of an eye, wasn't it?
Sure was.
Don't really see the ending changing either. There's no bonus content in this DVD. No alternate ending. We are going to see Mad Lions tie it on. None of that. It's going to be 6-6 as things sit in the what is going to be our final half of this match coming up here, Zoo.
Just, man. It just felt like as we started to get deeper and deeper on that Mad Lions run, that composure just started to go out the window. And that was so surprising because all the things we saw in the first 6 rounds for TSM were so damn good. And all of a sudden, one thing changes. You don't have the comfortability through mid, or maybe you're opting to kind of stay away from it a touch to get good. Mad Lions dealt with it beautifully.
I think it all comes down to that second to last round where they just don't even pay attention to the backhalls player and they just lose 2 trying to go down into B side through stairs. I mean, that's just like a little thing that you can't have happen. That's just kind of common sense, and that really hurt. I think it very easily could have been a 7-5 half or 8-4 if they would have been able to figure that one round out.
Yeah. And who knows, maybe it's just Seven saying I've got it, and in fact he doesn't. Not the first time we've seen poor Nano perform placements. Opening picks, opening tags. Gumon will confirm the information by way of the 0 point. Orbs will now be collected, and Mad Lions will say, all right, we've done our part, let's back away.
Considering how Mad Lions looked on their icebox attack, I would imagine they're pretty coordinated as well in their defaults on this one. I imagine we'll see a lot of variety on their own mid-control takes here. But with the pistol, it's obviously a little bit different. Less to work with, so you have to commit a little bit more. So they're looking to split up this A site, that's for sure. They do have player coming up tree as well. Kamal has spotted it, of course.
But that's enough to keep him at bay while Will jumps on in. Great utility over the top, still in play. Nanostorm coming out, Ainge follows up gorgeously. Quick double for him, that will lead to the spike now in play. Will can stop any potential tag ups from top heaven if he tries to jump onto these boxes. Or he can default to just playing safe. Let his teammates throw the shoulders. There's info on Gumon. Dexter, next one tested. Shots are not landing. Kills coming through nicely, but Will, with the frenzy, still collects 2. Just down to Gumon. 1v2 situation, drops down low for the first. But tagged down to 22 HP, and he's got no idea that Trick is behind him. The shock dart may just finish it off, and it does. Lands in between his feet. And Mad Lions take the second half pistol.
That's just your classic flash and dash into your jet smoke on top of the generator, and then using utility to disrupt the heaven rotation so you can control the site and get the spike down. It's a very common strategy, and Mad Lions execute it so very well. And in the end, a pretty easy 1v1 for Trick as he had the jump on him. We are going to see a force up here from TSM defensively with the Stingers again.
Man. Okay.
This did not work out for them on Icebox.
No, it did not. No, it did not.
Revealing area.
We'll see if they can do anything a little bit different this time here. Triple stack over through tree, not just in it, but even a little beyond it. Trick will take the free orb. Defensively inside the site, it's Hayes on a 1-for-1 corner, so this is a tall ask, I'd say, for this TSM defense if these players get stuck over towards tree.
He's going to try to play inside of his smoke and see if he can get an up-close fight with the Stinger, but Will playing backwards. He does get detected by the knife there, but Hayes is being very patient, not forcing the issue. Just buying more time with another smoke to try to continue to hold this angle, and Mad Lions realize it and decide they're going to get the heck out of there.
Could this possibly funnel them into this double stack over through mid? That's the question. No, they're going to go long. Maybe try to play over through double doors.
Man,
or maybe towards B main.
Oh, they get a dart onto Corey. Now they have a little bit better of a read of the weapon situation. Yep. But there is so much Killjoy utility here at B that's going to be hard to break.
Yeah, with support from Nature with an Ares behind you. But the Nanostorms are out early. Gravity Well is going to be there, but Nature's not really finding all that many connections. Fortunately, 7 can still collect 2 on the way in. Drone finally secures the trade. 20 seconds on the clock. Nature tagged down to terminal HP. He's got to be he's down to 8. So the spike is planted, and even though this is a 3v4, it's going to feel like a 3v3 if that Ares never gets back involved again.
Oh, Will trying to play off of a flash, gets caught down to very low HP, and TSM's kind of got the edge here. They have them trapped inside the site, and they have main advantage.
Oh, Dexter maybe gives away a little bit of an angle here. Hayes playing off the corner, still secures elimination flood from staircase side. The lineup is nearly fully there, though. Oh, it got close. Hayes would have been there as an insurance policy, but TSM will still survive through it with sheer force and numbers and ties at 7.
Yeah, I was on kind of the same wavelength as you. I thought the Nanos were a little early. I thought they were going to get some trouble, but they wound up getting a grab well in as well. And then they were able to get that up-close Stinger to get a couple of quick frags on that initial push out from Mad Lions, and they're able to just kind of play off the back of that from that point forward with man advantage. So it winds up working out nicely for TSM, and so we're kind of in the scrappy beginnings of a half now with both teams on these Stinger SMG buys. The one Bulldog for Nature, and an Ares on Trick.
This is going to feel like a very weird key round to have with everyone on subs, essentially.
One suppressed.
Yeah.
But you win this round, you take the advantage.
Mad Lions trying to establish some mid control while also fighting out in B lobby, but they get forced back by TSM. TSM not letting them have this real estate for free, but the shot dart from Trick and the rest of that utility will force them back home. A bit of a stalemate on that front, I suppose.
A very expensive stalemate, I might add.
Hayes, meanwhile, though, slipping through into back middle through an A push. That's a lot of information. It does leave the A defense light, though, if there was a tree attack, but instead it's going to be a mid push for Mad Lions.
Fragment actually comes out really early as well here. Again, there's tons of early utility being spent.
I love this pressure from Trick.
Yeah. And Sentry Turret will reveal this play through mid. Do you get timing here, though? Can Hayes actually pick anyone up through mid-map in this long angle? Because that's the only real support he's going to have defensively. Otherwise, it's Mad Lions all from the front. It's SMGs on SMGs in the corner. Nature can't even find one. So with that, all 5 members of Mad Lions survive. And the post plant is multifaceted with players still kind of possessing over towards this backside of B main.
This is all she wrote. Mad Lions looking to take the lead 8-7. Can't really expect much from Hayes and Gamon in a 2 versus 5 with the weaponry that they currently hold. Again, I love that Trick put that pressure on tree position. It allowed for that little bit extra second guessing time for TSM before the turret gets tripped over at market and the attack starts coming into the B side. Mad Lions able to overwhelm, and then that really just kind of riddles Hayes long flank useless.
Player standing.
A couple of exits here for Hayes, at least, I guess. It's a little bit of a parting gift.
But job done here for Mad Lions.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, the fact is you still have a Bulldog in an Ares as well, so even though this is going to feel like a bonus, you're going to have 2 players probably purchasing up. I imagine will give away this SMG to somebody else in favor of a rifle, and this is going to be a pretty substantial buy put together for both teams still.
And you can see Corey was trying to force his way through the smoke because he knew that if he didn't, Nature was just going to be bailed out in sight by himself. But just does not work out. Mad Lions, again, a team that's looked well coordinated on the attacking side throughout the series, continue to do so here on Ascent, and now they get to work things a little bit easier up against a lot lower firepower.
Dives are also out here for Will. So even though it's not a full purchase, it's going to feel very substantial. Opening shot from Nature. A key headshot collected. Will trying to stop the rotation, but he falls just off the rails. And now has to essentially reset everything. Smoke will go down, and Mad Lions will take their attention over towards B, where 7 is waiting for them. And 7 is waiting for them. Ghost will connect at long range as the door is shut. Nearly a second opportunity to find more for TSM's defense, who keeps chipping away at this and comes with a bit of a cost as Ace able to secure 2, but the knives have been eliminated, and it's just Trick down for the 1v3.
Spike is in sight, but there's still a player here. He tries to use the recon to find him, and does, by process of elimination, get the spam down onto 7.
Enemy
remaining. Oh, the shots are connecting. He picks up the Spectre! No! Oh my goodness, Trick, what is that for a 1v3?
Oh, what an eBay clutch. That is, how in the world has he done that? Just jumping with the Ares, gets the spam kill, switches to Spectre, and gets the follow-up. That's incredible. What looked like a done deal. Well, Trick had his namesake up his sleeve.
Unbelievable.
Placing swarm grenade.
That is one of the more impressive
the wildest thing
1v3s
we've seen
you'll ever
tonight.
see. Dude, for real. One of the wildest things I've seen in the in this game. That is everything hitting and everything timing-wise perfect.
Oh, man. Well, at least TSM can, I guess, be back onto a full buy with an operator in Corey's hands as something that maybe allowed them to feel a little bit less upset about that, but it's a tough one for sure. Mad Lions just flushing out wine, setting up some control over towards A lobby. They have presence nowhere else. And TSM are playing forward on B lobby, so they'll kind of know what's up.
Cosmic Divide play, you have to think, right? Full flood behind it.
Surely.
What is there to counter? Nature is playing into the defensive spawn. He could still throw Hunter's Fury into this. Oh, a lot of heads were just seen right there. Hayes is going to drop the Nebula first. And then a pre-fire blocks that he's in. There's the Hunter's Fury. Is just not the execution Mad Lions needed, I'll tell you that much. Cosmic Divide never even comes into play.
Yeah, that's a combination of TSM having a forward position on B lobby. They also reconned the backside of it, so they had a read that there was no one there, that Mad Lions had to be either mid or A lobby. So Hayes jump peeks, spots it, drops the smoke, and then just runs them through the blender. And that's a great response from TSM. You know, after you get clutched like that, you would think that could kind of maybe rattle the psyche of your team a bit. But to come back immediately and respond to a round victory like that, keep the score close and put Mad Lions on a low buy, that's a way you stop momentum.
That's a great reaction. Will put us near level footing once again. But the clean round also allows TSM to continue to bring forward the operator and boost their pockets at the same time. Alarm bot down mid. Will is trying just to create some concern through mid with these stingers. But the defense of TSM are going to be hit right at GMD, nearly double himself with 2 in front of him. Nanostorm will give him the credit. And after the 2-for-1 exchange, Hayes is going to wait for help.
Yeah, Hayes playing this off-angle tower position, able to get one and stay alive. That can sometimes be kind of a one-and-done spot, to be honest, but he's able to escape. Set up the 4v2 retake.
7 Nature trying to hit through tree. Corey also a part of this. Operator still in hand for him. Has the knives if he needs it. A lot of reveal still coming through, and that's going to be enough. TSM clean on the retake. Mad Lions, sure, they get the plant, but that's really about it.
Yeah, really well done from TSM. Hayes once again playing a great anchor position on the A side itself. Great tree defense. Mad Lions, though, are going to come into this with a full buy and a bunch of ults. Yeah, I mean, those nanos, what can you do? I mean, the whole floor is lava. There's nowhere to jump to. Good time for a timeout here, considering what Mad Lions bring into this next round. They have 4 ults, I believe. So definitely want to talk it out and figure out what's their best usage of them.
And another thing to kind of have a conversation around is they've been pretty successful on getting onto site, even planting on top of that, but the post-plant holds have not been there yet. So TSM, we talked about their ability or lack of ability to get retakes going on a box. That is not a problem here. Things have actually looked really clean so far through these opening rounds here in the second half, and that's where I think the conversation needs to be, because entry-wise, they've largely been okay.
I will say that those retakes have been aided by the fact that they've come into them with man advantages most of the time. You know, like Hayes got some early picks through the smoke, you know, at A side a couple of rounds ago, for example. We've seen, you know, different things like that happen throughout the course of this half where they kind of come into it with an edge. So that certainly has helped. And actually both teams come into this with 4 ults. So this is going to be a big round here. A big shift in momentum could happen with the victory here. As Corey looking for something aggressive middle with the operator to kick things off.
Turret out. They have a little bit of assistance here from Gomond as far as trying to clear out these double doors. And he's going to take
way out here.
Way out here. Dash is charged up. Shot comes through. It connects. Cloud to get him back. And there was assistance from 7. Kind of a little bit of cover fire over through that mid-radionite box. And the spike being down, and once more, Mad Lions without numbers. They're also missing a key component. Drone is not on part of this, so no null command, no flashes, no fragments. It's going to be tough to break through either of these 2 sites with the utility they have.
Yeah, and Corey's already repositioned his operator to tree, so he's being dynamic and keeping that scope in a different position. And he's going to be able to catch a freebie on the Trick who was not prepared for that. Lockdown goes in, but they're just losing so many members on the way to the site that it's really going to not matter so much.
Nice shot. Corey will land 3 times, and Zexro will not be able to get on top of the jump box. TSM real clean after the timeout for Mad Lions. And once more, financial decision starting to creep in here for Mad Lions as we get to the late stages of this 3rd match.
As we're starting to hit those final hard and long yards, you're seeing TSM come to life. Corey just, you know, picking battles and winning them all, being dynamic, not allowing Mad Lions to really feel comfortable in their map control. And now you can see Mad Lions are kind of reverting back to just kind of these more heavier lobby starts instead of trying to exercise any sort of mid control. And I feel like that is going to come back to haunt them.
I agree. Unless this is just a, let's harken back to a couple of rounds ago where we never got our Cosmic Divide down and try that same play again. But this is against full weaponry and Corey over the top. Beautiful cinematic view of him watching this angle. This could be devastation. Does he time it correctly? Flash smokes come through. Prediction on where exactly Will is gone is decent, but he misses the shot, and the spam will get first blood for Mad Lions on their way in.
That's such a big knife to not allow Will to, or to allow Corey to get away. And now they can get the spike down. Now they have man advantage. They still have ults available if need be to stop the retake.
No command is out. TSM pretty rapidly, at least over towards the top side of the banisters. And it's going to be multiple. It's not just 2 players. There are 3 that are up here, and none of them are able to even look down towards the spike at all. So now 7 off the pinch is really the last hope, and it's going to be an eBay thrifty from Mad Lions. What is happening?
I mean, there's just no pressure coming from Tree on the TSM side of things on that retake, and so the 3 players on site are able to just all 3 face heaven together. Not only that, but they caught Corey early. He was not able to dash away. He was trying to stick around for as long as he could for an op pick in that corner before trying to get the heck out of dodge because he wanted to try to set up a 5-on-4 retake. Instead, he gets trapped and caught. Man advantage goes to Mad Lions instead. And again, TSM were never able to set up a multi-pronged retake. It was all coming one direction. Mad Lions shut it down.
And there's no reason, I think, to rush in that instance. I mean, you've got weapon of firepower advantages to you. You had ults that you could have possibly used to break that down. It feels like Mad Lions, again, just kind of got away with one, and so to speak. TSM looking to get aggressive. Corey with knives over the top. Connects with one of the last ones, and in the same breath, Nature also denies Will any forward contest. Hayes, the part of the picture, over towards the side. Wallbang starting to come through, but TSM clean on this first blood and a huge advantage early into round 21.
Indeed it is. They're going to start clearing A lobby as well here, realizing that there's no presence there. They can even start to push that issue, though we are now seeing Ainge actually looking to take up shop over towards A lobby. Zexor will meet him, but I mean, the setup that Gamond and Hayes could have here.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yep. That's exactly what you'd expect. Just back and forth for all the weirdest reasons. Zexor tried to peek something over the top. Still collects one. Okay.
Surprised he got away with that.
Yeah.
Still a 2-on-4 though at the end of the day.
Revealing area. 30 seconds left.
Zexor's going to try to work his way in. 1v1 with Hayes. Hunter's Fury's going to come out as well. Bold call from Trick, who still converts the kill, but is unable to save his teammate. And now it's a 1 with an OG. He's going to try to run it on in, and it's going to not work out. Peculiar, to say the least.
Dude, the X factor has just been Corey, man. Like, he's been such a madman through middle, whether it be through the actual mid, whether it be through catwalk, whatever the case may be. He is getting opening picks and slowing Mad Lions down time and time again. This time it's with the ult over the top. Then they're able to use that to get forward a lobby presence. So now Zexro is having to fight tooth and nail just to get to the A archway. And so TSM are just doing such a great job disrupting Mad Lions, never letting them get comfortable in these rounds.
No.
And that's why Mad Lions feel like they just need to gather up and hit something, because every time they try to play map control, they get picked apart.
And just to get into this round, think the consequences of Trick using that Hunter's Fury while 7 has a lockdown available for TSM that can get them either 12 or the series win. So a lot of things starting to kind of creep back and forth, but trending towards TSM's direction. Set up here for an A approach. Does it go quick, though, or do you wait to see how much information you can calculate off of this recon? There's the Cosmic Divide, but it's immediately answered. Fragment is down. Defense trying to hold strongly, and will find nothing with the blades in hand. Follow-up. Shock will start to connect onto Hayes, but largely speaking, that's job done for TSM. They explode and stop the hit.
Indeed they do. And they have man advantage when it's all said and done. Starting to see Mad Lions try to back off, but the problem is they don't have presence anywhere else in the match. They have no idea where they have to look. There's so many things that they have to clear on their way back through middle or back through B lobby. Now the lockdown also is going to control that middle portion of the map and kind of force them back over to A side, where Corey is set up with the operator.
Yeah, and a much more comfortable angle, mind you, as well.
30 seconds left.
Good smoke, though.
Trick takes the peek, pushes him off. Hayes in the corner, trigger display. Does he get the second? No. So the spike carrier is down, 18 seconds, plenty of time to recover and still get the plan off. Corey, the next defender here, he's got GMD right next to him. What a shot from Corey. Come on now, probably the next one in. But no, denied. It's just down to Trick. Nature collects the elimination, 1v3. Gets the first, has information on the last 2 as well. They nearly line up, but it's Nature who confirms the kill. And TSM on to series points.
My goodness, man. What a crazy set of antics that we saw that round. You know, you thought maybe there was going to be a little bit of trouble when Corey kind of gets sniffed out through that smoke and is forced backwards, but Hayes comes up with a big frag from the back of the site, and then Corey makes that rotation, hits a blinder of a headshot on this X-Row through the balcony. And now TSM on map and series point with 2 in the pocket. Mad Lions have to win out these next 2 to force OT just for a chance at keeping this thing going.
Yeah. And before we get to potential overtime considerations, Nature's going to have a Hunter's Fury's X-Row, an opportunity to get a lockdown, maybe even here in this round. Corey looking for any possible cheeky plays. Scout information, not going to see too much. Nebula will cover the angle, which leads to just some pre-fire. And no one will be tagged up any worse for wear. We reset, minute 23 in the clock.
Yeah, good Nebula smoke to block off Corey's angle and allows them to get Trick up middle, start establishing some mid control here. Spike's been left behind, so they're not committed. All Jonas start putting some pressure on Tree here. They even get the dart out on Gamon. Nanoswarm stops them from being able to press him, though. So it's kind of a stalemate in that regard, but they are getting some control at the very least. Corey, though, again sets up shop at this very angle.
Oh, and he's got Guamond in the corner on the tree.
Yep.
So if they use utility to get Corey out of this position, Guamond would be by himself. Possible 1v3 consideration. The gravity well's there to assist him, but it's still a 1-for-1 trade. Shorty in hand at the moment for Corey. It's really on to, does he find anything with this? Oh, and he connects onto the head of Will. Also gets out of dodge away from the shock dart, while Hayes makes the defense that much more stable. Last one left is Age. Door will shut through Tree. He does have the spike. But it's a 1v3 situation, and TSM are going quickly and in numbers. Not a chance to get set up. TSM will take a long-winded series after what was a very short affair on Icebox. 2-1 overall.
Defenders win.
Yeah, that was really well done from TSM. Just a great setup with the gravity well to kind of allow for